All right, here we go. DJ Akademiks back on VladTV.
Back, man. What is this? This is the 18th?
How many times?
I don't know, man.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
And I've done Off the Record a whole bunch of times. I'm the most common repeat guest on Off the Record, right?
That's true. Hey, I'm wondering, does the VladTV audience ever get tired of guessing like, oh my God, this guy again? I never want to get to that point. Where they're like, yo, Akademiks again? Get this chipmunk out of here.
Well, it's the numbers, right? You could say you're tired. I mean, because sometimes I'll announce, hey, I got Akademiks coming, what should I ask him? We don't want to ask him anything. Why you keep bringing him on? He's boring, man. But then the numbers is like millions of views, so y'all can go fuck yourselves. So, that's how I look at it. You have to look at the numbers. You can't look at the comments. You have to look at the numbers.
Yeah. I've always said that I honestly believe that I've made most of my money off people hate me than liking me. There's some people that really dedicate a huge portion of their brain and time towards really dedicating energy to, yo, let me comment negative stuff about him, or let me just say I hate this motherfucker. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when I look at the YouTube analytics, it never says this was a guy who liked you and this is a guy who hates you. It just says views.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? So,
yep.
I mean, I never really know like that, but, I've also, I don't really get too much in the mud anymore to see like, oh, okay, these guys are saying this. So, I encourage it all.
Well, just recently, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. You could look on my Twitter timeline. Maybe about an hour before the fight, I said, I predict Jake Paul is beating Mike Tyson. And of course, oh, you're a racist. Of course, you go with the white boy, rah, 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 rah. And I get a call from Math Hoffa. He's like, oh, you got Jake Paul, huh? Let's put some money on it.
No way.
I said, all right, let's do $100. He's like, no, let's do $500.
No way.
I said, okay. You want to do $500? Let's do $500. I sent him my Cash App in the 6th round. I said, yo, just be prepared to pay.
I think he wanted to donate to you.
Math Hoffa paid me right after the fight. Honorable guy. I got $500 from Math Hoffa.
Whack. I say whack. I was talking to him like a couple hours ago. Hey, Vlad, when I saw that tweet of yours, I literally said, somebody has to tap Vlad and say, wait, you're not like, I feel like you thought you were like predicted like some Nostradamus. No, that was obvious. Who thought Mike was going to win?
Yo, Jake Paul was favored by like 220. I think he was like minus 220 on the odds.
You said follow the numbers, right? Follow Vegas.
Yes. Vegas predicted that Jake Paul was going to win. Listen, did I want Mike Tyson to win? Of course I did. Everyone wanted Mike Tyson to win. But that man is almost 60.
Hey, let me tell you this. They did a great job of hitting a great finesse. And I always have to give kudos to people who hit a great finesse, no matter who it is. Put it like this. They showed us what we needed to see for us to believe that Jake was going to get knocked the fuck out, okay? We saw no sparring footage. Think about things that if I'm not even a super boxing fan, but a regular boxing fan would be like, hey, listen, everybody looks good hitting the bag. Okay, the speed bag, cool, everybody looks good. Okay, the heavy bag, okay, we can see you got some power. Okay, he's moving around, he's ducking this and third, but how does he really react when, he's facing pressure? Like, once I saw him in the locker room, and this is when I realized Mike didn't give a fuck, was when Netflix showed him with his ass out. I said,
and he kissed the dude first.
Yeah, mean, he always did that. He always kind of did that. He was. Did
he?
Yeah, he was
kissing
always.
Dudes?
But he said, don't you remember Mike back in the day? He says, I'll fuck you till you love me, F word.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, he's always kind of been, hey, listen, in war with him, he gets a little bit kind of Diddy-esque. Real talk. But he's not gay.
He's not gay.
And by the way, there's a story about when he was locked up, they said someone offered to make his bed, and he admitted, he said he beat the guy's ass. He's always been a little bit, this is Mike we're talking about.
Homophobic.
Well, not homophobic. Like, he's just a wild card. He's just a spark plug. Anything happens. So when I seen that, I didn't care for that. But he physically looked older. When he walked out to that, like he
stumbled. Did you see when he kind of tripped a little bit? That's when I said, okay.
He was dragging one leg. He had a knee brace, man. He looked like Shaq on the Celtics. I love him, but he looked like Shaq on the Celtics. Okay? And I wasn't that shocked about anything that happened. but I was impressed by the marketing that Jake Paul continues. Jake Paul is like Floyd, and everybody calm down.
No, you're right. I can see where you're going with this. Yeah.
The marketing, every time people be like, yo, Floyd fights are boring. We want excitement. And every time you bought the last fight, after the fight, you said, this is the last fight I'm buying. Till the next promotion.
Then you buy that.
You're like, man, this is a new angle.
Yeah, I mean, look, Jake Paul got $40 million. Tyson got $20 million.
Yeah.
They sold out that whole Dallas arena.
By the way, it's the highest gate, 17 point something million dollars. Highest gate. Just the gate. So people who pay for them tickets, 17 point something million. So if people are just thinking about where are these numbers coming from, 60 million? Well, Netflix broke like 18 times, okay? Yeah. Or you could watch the picture, but you couldn't hear the sound. We all seen that. But 17 point something million, they actually estimate it's more. They claim it's closer to 20. But the official just off, I think Ticketmaster was 17 point something million dollars just for the gate. Okay. What do you think Netflix is paying? Netflix reportedly paid 20 or 30 million just for like Dave Chappelle to do one stand-up, right? This was going to be a whole event with other sponsors. You see Celsius in the ring. You've seen all these other things. Meta is on the ropes.
Yeah, Bud Light, I think, is up in the rafters. Yeah, the whole thing.
So if anyone is, I'm a super pocket watcher. I'm always like, how much are they making? Definitely made, I see the 40 and the 20. And I'm going to be honest with you, great finesse. I can't be mad at how another man is getting his money. But us fans, I was disappointed because I did kind of fall for, the banana in the tailpipe a little bit. But I'll be honest, around the third round, I was like, it's kind of weird. I'm like, I want to see a knockout, but don't kill Mike. If you kill Mike, I'm going to hate you. But I don't even know what I wanted because I don't think Mike was going to knock him up, but I don't want Mike to get knocked out. If Mike had gotten knocked out and, first of all, he was already doing this thing where it looked like he's trying to, you know what I mean? Like,
that
this
was
is the McDonald's
so
fry grab right here.
His mouth guard kept coming out. Like, literally, half the time was spent him trying to put his mouth guard back in.
Yeah.
Made no damn sense.
Well, I'm just, listen, he deserved that finesse. Could you agree?
Oh, listen, 20 million? 20 million. Because at one point, I remember I talked to Mike about this when we interviewed him. He burned through $300 million.
Really?
Yes.
Like, actually. Burned through it.
He would do wild shit. He would do stuff like...
What happened to the tiger?
Yeah, I mean, he had a tiger in his house. That's one part. But for example, there was a story where he was with Don King. They checked into a hotel right before the fight, and he had just bought a brand new Lamborghini. Mm-hmm. And as he's pulling the Lamborghini up, he doesn't really know how to drive it too well, and it scrapes against like the wall or something. He's like, he looks at the valet, he goes, "This is bad luck, you take it." And the valet's like, "What?" Don King's like, "Take the car. He's giving you the car." He just gave a Lamborghini to a valet guy because he thought it was bad luck.
Damn.
Think about that. That's like the equivalent of what? $300,000 today? Like,
yeah, I always hear these type of stories.
That's a third of $1 million right there.
I heard Allen Iverson just left the car in the parking lot because he couldn't find. Like when I hear that, I'm like, how easy did they think money was coming to them, or did they just believe it couldn't stop? Because I haven't heard that about people now. Like, and people now have a lot of money too in their respective aspects, but I've never heard that type of insane stuff. Like, yo, we just left the keys. Fuck it, valet, take the car.
Man, you see some ignorant stuff, man. I've been in nightclubs where people order bottles of Cristal and pour it into the ice bucket just to do it. Just to do it. Think about how much a bottle of Cristal costs in a club.
Okay, so are you agreeing?
Just to do it.
No, I get that. So
2 bottles, double-fisted.
So are you agreeing with this whole philosophy? Because I heard Fat Joe say, he said, well, I think he's broke. Or he might need the money. Not broke, but he needed the money. Lennox, who looked pretty different when he was on the broadcast, but he was pretty good. He said, hey, I don't know why Mike would take this fight at this age, but he probably needed it. And I'm only thinking in my mind, like, don't we all need 20 million?
Yeah, who doesn't need an extra 20 million?
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos could use an extra 20 million.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Elon Musk wouldn't mind an extra 20 million.
I don't know about them niggas. They're kind of little.
No, I'm joking.
20 million is 20 million.
20 million is 20 million. Just because compared to your other bag of money, it may not be a huge percentage, but think about the lives you could change with $20 million.
True.
You could give 20 friends $1 million and change their lives forever.
Fat Joe also said something that was important. He said, and I think this was very popular among older stars, whether basketball players, boxers, or even musicians. He said he was very proud that when Mike walked out, Mike was by himself.
Yeah.
And he wasn't with a bunch of hanger-ons and people who essentially were draining him or sucking him dry. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, damn, yeah, I guess Mike does come from the era of the entourage where you're living good, they're living good, you're paying for your lifestyle, their lifestyle, and all these other people's lifestyle. And until you break free of that, you're probably just hemorrhaging money.
Look, I remember, and Mike said this in our interview. He said that at the time, at his height, he was making more money than all his peers. Meaning he was making more money than Eddie Murphy. He was making more money than, maybe not Michael Jordan, but possibly more than Michael Jordan. Actually, he might have been making, because he's making so much per fight.
Yeah.
He was the richest guy out of everyone. So, he didn't really know how to handle money. The money was coming at an insane rate, because not only was he doing, the actual fighting, but video games, this, I'm sure people were just paying him money just to hang out, everything else like that. So, for example, we interviewed Ed Lover, and they were hanging out one night, and Mike Tyson was like, hey, here, take my Bentley. Threw him the keys to the Bentley. He's like, okay, thanks. He drove it around for a little while, and he parked at his house, and he was trying to get a hold of Mike Tyson, couldn't get a hold of him. So the car was just parked, in his garage for like months. At one point, one of Mike's people called him up and was like, hey, Mike wants his Bentley back. He goes, okay, just come to this address, come pick it up, I'll give you the keys and so forth. Guy came, got the Bentley, whatever else. Didn't think anything of it. A couple years later, he ran into Mike again. He goes, oh, by the way, your guy called me and asked for the Bentley back, and I gave him the keys. He's like, nah, man, that guy was a crook. I wanted you to keep that car. I gave you that car. I didn't know that guy even did that. That guy was a crook. He stole from me.
Oh, man.
I see Mike come in. He's standing by the bar. Of course, I got to go holler at him. That's my man. I'm talking to Mike. People are coming by. Hey, champ, how you doing, man? How you doing? Good. Hey, Ed Lover, what's up, bro? Mike goes, Ed, it's been a good life, right? I'm like, yeah, Mike, it's crazy. He said, people still call me champ. Man, I ain't been in the ring in over 10 years. People still call me champ. Yeah, it's been a long time since you're on TV Rats. People still know you. They know everything. So, man, remember we used to go out to Nels and shit, have a good time and all that. I said, remember that spot we went to in Queens with the Jamaican bitches? I was like, yeah. So remember that night I gave you the Bentley to take to your mom's house? I was like, yeah, I remember that. He said, I gave you that car, right? I said, what? He said, I gave it to you. I wanted you to have that. You was my man, And I knew you couldn't afford a Bentley and nothing like that. So I like having all my friends, be fly. I just really want you to have that. He said, John and them came and got that. These jealous motherfuckers, right? I was like, yep. I said, you tell John Horn if I see him, nigga, you owe me $400,000, all right? Because this nigga gave me a Bentley and you came and got it. I didn't know it was mine. I said, why you ain't tell me? Like, yo, I was getting high, Ed. I remember I gave her a lot of cars out. Like this. Gave me this shit.
I used to have a lot of money back. I had more money than anybody in our community had. Even every entertainer, I had more money than them.
Yeah.
So I never had money before, so that's what you do when you never had money. You buy a lot of goodies for you and your friends that never had money.
That's the kind of things that were happening. He was giving millions of dollars away, and other people were stealing those millions, and it just kept, ballooning.
The interesting part, there's two things that's interesting to me, even now, and I'm trying to think about his life. So he does have a podcast. He had some type of podcast.
Yeah, that's done.
Okay,
well, he stopped it while training for the fight.
Okay.
But that's not a big money maker for Mike.
No, I get it, but
he also has a weed business.
Okay. So he does have these ancillary forms of income. He's Mike Tyson at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he's also addicted, because I know a lot of people are, to, like, especially if you've made money in a certain way. If you do what we do, a lot of times we go do content, like you're doing this now. You went to Savannah, you did stuff with Quando Rondo, Lil Tim. But the returns come way later, right? It comes over time, right? It might be an interview that does maybe 3-4 million, but maybe over 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of get used to gaining the line share or the revenue from our work later on. When you fight, you get it
right away.
That night, instantly, right? And I'm wondering if he's just like, man, this podcast shit is just taking forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yo, I need to go at least get in the ring. But the second thing that's also a little surprising, he said, I'll do it again. I think everyone wanted him to say, Mike, yo, I just wanted to prove to myself. We liked when he said that. I wanted to prove to myself I could still do this. But I'm good now. That itch has been scratched. Instead, he said, I think I might want your brother next. He said, I think I might want your brother next. And I think everyone looked at him. Even Logan said, motherfucker, I'll kill you. What are you talking about? and I'm being honest with you. I'm kind of looking at it like, hey, I'm all for Mike doing these exhibitions. I don't even think they need to be like real fights.
I mean, it wasn't a real fight. It was 8 rounds, 2-minute rounds with 14.
Still counts as record?
With 14. No.
Yeah, it does.
It was 8 rounds, 2-minute rounds with 14-ounce gloves.
Yeah, but
that does not go on a real boxing record. That was not a real boxing match.
No, it's still sanctioned, yes.
It was sanctioned, but you can't count it as the same as other fights where they're using 8-ounce gloves and 12 rounds,
we could put an asterisk
rounds.
by it, but officially Jake Paul has an extra win, and officially Mike Tyson has an extra loss. And obviously, I think Jake wanted that because now, go look it up. Which by the way, they negotiated those terms in terms of how long the fight's going to be, this and third, but it is an official fight.
I guess you're right.
It's
actually part of the professional record, but I think it's kind of lame considering that it's not equivalent to their other fights.
Well, here's
in terms
the thing.
of the rules.
Well, here's the thing. I agree with you, Vlad, but I think part of getting us to buy into this was it being something for the record. Because when we seen, number one, Floyd fight the brother, which is Logan, people said, oh, this is why it's exhibition. They're not trying to knock each other out. People were like kind of cool on it after the first time. We seen Roy Jones versus Mike Tyson. And people were like, well, it's an exhibition. We're watching two legends go at it. They're not trying to kill each other. When you hear that there's something going on the record, again, as I said, it's a great finesse. We go into it like, oh, Mike is going to knock this guy's head off. This is real. This one is real. Come on now.
Well, yeah. They're actually saying that the fight was fixed. There are moments where Mike could have swung and he didn't. There's moments that Jake could have swung and he didn't. It was a little weird. And, Jake Paul even says, I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt when they asked him, why didn't you knock him out? I don't know. Do you think Jake Paul could have knocked him out?
Absolutely.
But he didn't. So you think he purposely didn't knock him out?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean the fight's fixed.
Isn't it a little
I think
fixed?
Jake's team.
Isn't it a little fixed?
No.
If you don't?
No, fixed would be the result and the outcome.
Okay.
And
if he would have lost, to be fixed.
For me, the outcome isn't a knockout. The outcome is a win or loss. So I think Jake and his team does an amazing job of scouting the person he's going to fight to know well ahead of time, based on Jake's talent, based on his age, based on his current training, he's going to beat this person. Now, the knockout was, I think, something that Jake definitely held back on. Of course, again, you're taking all type of, this was as one of the broadcasters said, it was a win-lose for Jake, right? If you win the fight.
You beat an old man.
Yeah, you beat an old man. Now, if you fucking knock out and put him in a coma, like Mike Tyson, we hate you. We don't want to see you again.
Well, that happened to Trevor Berbick.
Yeah.
The final fight with Muhammad Ali, he ended up brutalizing Ali. And by that time, Ali was full-blown Parkinson's. He was talking slowly. His interview sounded absolutely awful. There was no reason why Ali needed to even get in that ring. I mean, I'm sure he needed the money, which is why he did it, but he shouldn't have gotten in that ring. He probably could have had a more fulfilling life after boxing if he didn't do that fight, because he got brutalized by Berbick. Everybody hated him. In fact, Mike Tyson's first belt came from beating up Berbick. And Mike said he hated this guy because Ali was his hero. And Ali even whispered in his ear, yeah, kill that guy for me. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when I interviewed Larry Holmes, he fought Berbick also. And I talked about how Berbick got killed because he's Jamaican. He got beat to death by his nephew with a steel pipe over some money owed or something. And, Larry Holmes, who's a church-going family man, said, good, God don't like ugly. He deserved that. Berbick ended up getting murdered by his own nephew at 52 years old some years later.
I don't feel bad for him. God don't like ugly. You do ugly to people, it'll come back to you. God don't like ugly. And he was ugly. He beat anybody. He beat his daughter. Let me forget about that guy because this is so tragic.
And his soul is resting. I don't know in peace or not, but it's resting.
Wow. That's how much people hated Burbank. So my point is, if Jake Paul had brutalized Mike Tyson in that ring,
It'd be bad.
It'd be bad.
Yeah, and he's a smart guy. Let me tell you this. I think they did a great job to sell it, especially during the first couple of rounds. Mike looked pretty decent in the first round.
It looked like he might actually knock out Jake Paul. Remember Jake flinched really badly when Tyson was about to hit him? I'm like, oh shit, he's actually scared of him. Okay.
Hey, for better or for worse, and I know people, like this raw, brutalistic aspect of boxing, but Jake also knows what's good for marketing, what's good for the sport, and what's good for the storyline. Okay? Let's be honest. These guys didn't have beef before. Jake Paul was spoken of highly by Mike Tyson. They were actually friends. Of course, you got to create this adversarial atmosphere because you're fighting. There's no real beef there. We all just wanted to hear Mike saying, yo, I'm the greatest ever. No one could conquer. Remember that whole speech.
I'll eat your kids.
Yeah. We wanted to hear that. And I think Jake realized this was kind of a little bit like wrestling. I got to be the bad guy to make people root for him. That's what's because I'm pretty sure Netflix is looking at the return and saying, yo, Jake, if you could cook up another one of these, we'll give you 60 mil next time.
Right.
But who are you going to go at now? Right? And there was a little bit of boxing and wrestling. The fight is still real, but you're not there to just brutalize and kill somebody. You're there, even in the last moments, the bow.
Yeah, he bowed, yeah.
I think Jake is a master for that. And by the way, I think Tyson respected how much he didn't look crazy. This is still a 50-year-old guy he was throwing some punches too.
He went all 8 rounds. He never got knocked down. He got a few punches in, not a lot.
No one got bloody.
Yeah, no one got bloodied.
That's important. Okay, both of them could talk on a press conference afterwards.
Right.
And also, I think for anybody who feels really disappointed, we wanted to see Mike in the ring again. Even when I see Floyd these days, I'm not looking at, I just want to see, you probably missed him during his heyday. You wanted to see the guy. Come on. So, hey, listen, I'm okay with how it went. I think it's a little bit boxing mixed with wrestling. I don't think it's fixed. But, of course, did he hold back a little bit I'm not going to knock him out? Of course.
Well, Diddy is now being accused of obstructing justice.
Diddy running the jail, man. He running the spot.
Right. According to you, the inmates are fighting over making his bed.
Yep. Well, really, according to Lisa Evers, I want to give her credit. Lisa Evers does an amazing job covering all things, within the New York metropolitan area. She interviewed an inmate that spent some time at MDC Brooklyn alongside Diddy. And, remember, we're all thinking that Diddy's in super isolation. He doesn't talk to no inmates. We later find out via even court filings by the government, he does. And this one inmate looked like he's not wrong because he says, hey, listen, Diddy's such a big player in the game in terms of, his power and he's that guy even in jail. Dudes are getting jealous at other dudes based on who made his bed. And I'm like, yo.
So that's a real thing? Yeah. People are actually making his bed?
Yeah.
I thought you were just joking.
Listen, there's an inmate that said it. There's an inmate that said it, that Lisa Evers, who works for Fox 5.
No, I know Lisa. Yeah. I've done her show before.
Of course. So that's what that inmate said. And I think some people wanted to call it cap till we realized that, the filing that came out on Friday or Thursday by the government, which is a response to Diddy's new motion for bail, essentially said Diddy is using 8 other inmates personal access codes to call everybody he wants.
Exactly.
It's add this person to the call, add this person. Yo, he's running the jail. So these inmates, I completely believe, and by the way, this is how the government painted it. He's getting them paid directly through what they call these cash processing systems.
Yeah.
So, probably tells his people, send her $1,000. Send his mom, send his girl, cool. And then the inmate in there with him is like, yo, we're going to have your commissary filled. You're going to move around like a king like me. So I get why this is happening. And the only thing I look at is why did people believe or think anything otherwise? You think you're going to normalize a billionaire that could have any type, if Diddy walked in a room and this guy's of significant money, power, and even respect, despite whatever happened, and y'all are all in jail, you're not gonna be like, yo, bro, he usually don't gotta bring his tray over there to throw it away. Nah, I'll do it. Because I wanna be cool with him. I got my people outside, like shit. I have a public defender. This guy is spending $2.7 million a month on lawyers. He could throw me, even if he throws me $2,500. Hey, nobody can touch Diddy in here. Matter of fact, I'm gonna act like I could be the most bitch-made dude. Hey, I'm just letting y'all know, anybody want to get to him, y'all gotta go through me. I'll take the ass whooping for. So this kind of sounds normal. However, I think people thought Diddy was done when he got to jail. Like, okay, you're finally a degular person, and they're realizing, you know, Diddy didn't work all them years to get billions just to get locked up, and those billions can't help him, right?
Right, he still did it.
Yeah, he still did it. Come on.
Well, I mean, I went through the filings and the reports. So what they say, according, to the feds, that recorded phone calls made by Diddy showed that he asked family members to reach out to potential victims and witnesses. Also urged them to create narratives to influence the jury pool. Also encouraged them to make marketing strategies to sway the public opinion. Diddy used the telephone accounts of at least 8 different inmates to avoid monitoring. He paid the inmates to intermediaries in violation of the rules, like you said, and he also was using 3-way calls and getting people on the phone, which is illegal. So basically what they said, the defendant has shown repeatedly, even while in custody, that he will flagrantly and repeatedly flout rules in order to improperly impact the outcome of the case. The defendant has shown, in other words, that he cannot be trusted to abide by rules or conditions. And I guess they actually found a note that inferred that he wants to blackmail victims and witnesses into silence by providing testimony, or into providing testimony that's actually helpful to his defense. So I guess what I'm wondering is, he does realize all this is being taped. You're using someone else's, privileges, but they're watching everything.
Okay.
A 3-way call, it's being recorded.
So my takeaway was much different from that. My takeaway was, I'm going to wait for the government to file the superseding indictment, which we all believe is coming, because right now it looks a little thin. And it looks a little pathetic, I'm going to be honest with you. Because, yes, it's great to make Diddy look like this maniacal mob boss, which, of course he's using the influence of his money. But does anyone, again, it's good for the person who never ever dealt with someone in jail. How many inmates, and Vlad, no names here, how many inmates do you know that do 3-way call? They all do it.
Yeah.
They all do it.
I talk to inmates
and it's always
on cell phones while locked up in Rikers.
Exactly. And
not going to say who.
And no one is saying, yo, Vlad, this is to influence my case. Sometimes they just call, be like, yo, what's the word out there, man? Everything good? You're like, yeah, I'm going to come home soon. It's all good. Blah. Sometimes it's never. So that I thought was a little bit thin. Obviously, they're trying to keep him in jail. Him putting money on other people's books. Yeah, he's a rich guy. He wants to have his privileges, right? Now, this whole thing of him trying to blackmail people, and I hate to even, because some people are going to be like, oh, no, he's getting Diddy's back. No, I'm defending someone who is, and this could be anybody, who's locked up and using whatever he can to his advantage to try to get things looking better for himself before he goes to trial.
Yeah, but some of this stuff is illegal. You can't.
And everybody does it.
You can't. It doesn't matter if everyone else does it. For everyone else, it'll be a slap on the wrist. Everyone knows this is a big fish. No slaps on the wrist when it comes to Diddy. They're going to prosecute him to the fullest extent in order to keep him in there. Because look, listen, if they let him out, Diddy might legitimately escape.
Okay, here's the thing.
Am I right?
Well,
Diddy could get a submarine. Diddy could buy a submarine.
Diddy
could build a tunnel.
You come with this Avengers shit, man. Listen, man, he not getting on no fucking submarine. Yo, here's the thing.
He get a hot air balloon.
Here's the thing. And I want everybody, when they're listening to me, I want to just take this off of Diddy, right? Pause. And what I mean by that is, we look at this guy and we already have these thoughts about, especially when we see in the video. And that's my exact point. The feds are playing a very dirty game. This is why I can't be mad at what Diddy's doing. Now, granted, it's probably not gonna.
I'm not mad at him, but it is what it is.
He's probably not gonna get out. But look at how the feds are working this. The feds leaked a video of Diddy beating Cassie.
Allegedly.
Come on. Oh yeah, you're right. Allegedly.
The feds denied doing that.
Okay. Allegedly.
Cassie may have leaked that.
Okay.
Am I right?
That could be true.
She
but
has a reason to leak it.
But here's
a
the
lot
thing.
of people are saying, "Oh, Cassie's just money hungry. She's just doing it for to try to because she married a bum and they need the
Vlad,
money."
Here's the thing, though. They're accusing him of trying to taint the jury pool when the jury pool already tainted because of that video.
Right.
Listen, if they put you or me on the jury for Diddy, wouldn't be honest. Like again, we would be like, yo, Diddy gonna have to show me some shit for me to think he ain't guilty. Cause I know he definitely beat her ass.
Yes.
Like that's how we're going into this. So I think he's trying to even the score. You know what they're accusing him of trying to influence the jury pool with? That he had his kids sing happy birthday to him.
Right.
It's humanizing him.
Yeah.
Like, come on. So you want everybody who's possibly going to be a jury member think like, hey, they got the monster, the one that beat the girl up. He's a guy who does drugs and freak-offs. Forget the other side, which, by the way, all things can be true. He does drugs, freak-offs, beat chicks up, does whatever.
He's a good family man.
And he's also a great father.
Yeah.
I'm just not that mad at that, even though I acknowledge I don't think he getting out. I don't think he getting out. But I don't think he getting out on bail. But if I'm him, yeah, try to pump some good stuff. Like if I'm him, I'll hit up everybody who I gave $1 million to. Hey, could you at least, I don't want you to speak on these charges, but at least be like, hey, listen, my interactions with Diddy, I wasn't that bad of a person. I helped you out when your mama had cancer. I paid for this. I paid for whatever. Oh, remember when you had a kidney problem? I paid for dollars. I paid for a lot of things for a lot of people. I would like for it to be an even narrative that people could be like, you know what? Maybe he made some mistakes, but let's go into this with an open mind. Rather than saying, this is an abusive monster that we're walking into this case with. And again, I'm only speaking from the point of view of someone incarcerated now trying to even the playing field in the court of public opinion. Now, granted, who knows what we're going to see at trial? We might see some shit at trial to be like, Diddy, how the hell did you think you could ever change people's mind from this shit?
Yeah.
But, he's trying his thing.
If it goes to trial, think about that.
Well, there
might be a plea deal that he accepts.
Well, it looks like he's posturing for a trial when they're saying, hey, this is meant to influence a jury.
Well, right, because everyone prepares for a trial in the worst case. But when they say the feds have a 98% conviction rate, they're counting all the plea deals. Hey, they're not saying in court they have a 98% conviction rate. That's not true.
Hey, I don't think he's taking a plea. I think he's going to go, he got to go balls to the wall. I looked at this case, and I looked at R. Kelly's 2 other Fed cases, which he both got found guilty on.
Right, but just to note, and I looked up this as well, R. Kelly went to prison for underage girls.
Not necessarily.
That was part of the case.
So
that was absolutely part of the case.
No, okay.
Once you throw in underage girls, because sex trafficking, flying girls who are of age, it's not a huge deal. Once you throw an underage girl,
that's where you're wrong. I'm going to break down the cases because I've heard so many. I have both indictments. He got indicted in Chicago. There was 13 counts. Most of them had to do with him having sex with underage girl. Apparently, he even filmed him having sex with a 15-year-old, right? Half of those, so he got 13 counts there. 7 of them were dismissed, or he was found not guilty, not dismissed. So he was found not guilty. He was found guilty on 6 of them. Here's the relevant part of what I'm trying to say. None of those charges mirror Diddy's charges. That was child pornography charges, filming yourself in sexual conduct with a minor. Okay, so he got found guilty of 6 of 13. 7 got not guilty. Where he got the bigger sentence is New York, Eastern District, not Southern like Diddy, but New York didn't come with him about minors. They didn't come with minors, Vlad, trust. New York came with sex trafficking, moving women across state lines. Actually, there was one charge about minors cross state line. But still, he got found guilty on all 9 charges in New York. That gave him the 30 years. In Chicago, gave him 25.
No, Chicago, he got 20. So R. Kelly was sentenced to 20 years in prison on child sexual abuse convictions. So basically, the jury convicted him on 3 charges of producing child sexual abuse images and 3 charges of enticement of minors for sex. Okay, That's all underage stuff.
Wait, hold on.
This is not what Diddy's going through right now.
No. But
once you throw in kids, listen, once you throw in kids
No, Vlad,
into
you're
the
missing
dialogue,
the point, though. You're missing the point.
Okay, go ahead.
The point of what I'm saying is that everything in Chicago with the kids is being ran concurrently with the bigger sentence, which is in New York. That sentence in New York is the Diddy charges: sex trafficking, moving across state lines for the purpose of prostitution, force into sex trafficking, racketeering. That gave him 30 years. You know he's serving 30, not 20. So the 20 is being ran concurrently. So all them kid sex tapes he got, that's in Chicago. In New York, they got him for sex trafficking. That's what they're going at Diddy for, right? So if they don't find no minors, they can still get their 30 years if we're thinking that if he falls the same way as R. Kelly. And this is the point. They're not gonna give that guy a plea, right? They're not gonna give him a plea when they've put you at the head of a racketeering operation. We don't know who else they're gonna name. They're not gonna give you a plea. So if you ask me, Diddy's gonna go forward and he's gonna go either beat the case, or if he blows trial, he's gonna get that 30 years.
Right. So I actually looked it up. So the jury in Brooklyn, this is the Fed case, found him guilty on all 9 counts of a superseding indictment,
exactly.
charging him with racketeering.
Exactly. Diddy got that too.
Predicated on criminal conduct, including sexual exploitation of children.
Okay. No. So hold on. So wait. Let me explain that charge.
Forced labor, Mann Act violations involving the coercion, transportation of women and girls in interstate commerce to engage in illegal sexual activity.
Yeah.
The children part, the exploitation of children, I think that's what really buried him.
Well, here's the thing. All of that, so the way they do a racketeering charge, you're either guilty or not guilty of a racketeering charge. They have acts that lead up to the racketeering charge, obviously with R. Kelly as the kids. But with Diddy, they're gonna say artists, they're gonna say all type of things beneath it. A racketeering charge is a racketeering charge, okay? And there's a mandatory minimum. So if Diddy, if he gets the racketeering charge, he's gone for at least 20.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously, when it comes to Kelly, they probably put on a little extra 10 for the kids, clearly. But it's the same, it's kind of like very similar, right? We just don't have the kids yet with Diddy. So there's no way they're gonna give him a plea. They would look ridiculous if they gave him a plea. It's a racketeering situation.
Yeah, but look, we thought that Young Thug would never get a plea. We never thought Young Thug would get time
Fulton County is, and I'm hoping
we'll get into this later. I'm just saying,
Fulton County is horrific.
At the end of the day, you may not plan to give someone a plea deal if you're a prosecutor, but as the trial progresses, a plea deal can happen up until the jury verdict. It can happen at any point.
We've never, again, we got to compare it to other cases of this magnitude. Did Harvey Weinstein get a plea deal?
No.
Did Jeffrey Epstein get a plea deal? I mean, did Nygaard make it to here? Like, all of these people are in line with what they're saying about.
I see what you're saying.
They're not going to be like, you know why? It would be such a, people would feel like justice wasn't reached if you give this guy, like, and think about this. If he's facing, say, 20 to 30, right? If he blows trial, what are you going to give him that he could take? So in his mind, I don't know if they're at that stage yet, but his lawyer's going to sit down with him and say, hey, check this out. This is probably all going to be, even if you get found, by the way, it's 3 counts. Remember, R. Kelly had 9, but whatever. So if you get found, obviously it's going to be superseding indictment, but anyway, if you get found guilty on all these charges, they're probably going to run them all concurrently. And the biggest sentence is probably going to be the one you serve. You're probably going to have to do 20 to 30, right? What plea you think he could take or would take?
10.
Why the hell would they give him that?
But if he gets offered 10, he'll probably take it. Don't you think?
No, of course.
Yeah.
No, of course.
But you're saying they're not going to give it to him.
Because it would look crazy. You did all of this. He's going to be out in 8 years. What? So they have to go balls to the wall with this, right?
Yeah.
Now, what I do think is going to happen, and I keep telling people, right? And I keep telling, there's these Young Thug fans, like they were on a couple fan pages. They're like, yo, Ak, you said on Vlad that Thug was going to get found guilty. And I said, well, he didn't get found innocent.
Right, no.
Yo, he took a plea. He pled guilty.
You are found guilty. You're admitting to the guilt.
So for
you're
them,
right, yeah.
And by the way, I actually believe that Doug, because you know the IQ level, especially in the black community, is pretty low. Like I can say it respectfully, hip hop community, they'll be like, Doug beat a RICO. No, he did not. He pled guilty.
He pled guilty to the RICO.
He pled guilty to one charge with the gang activity, and he pled nolo contendere for him being in the leadership position. But we haven't seen a rapper or any high-profile person go against this racketeering RICO statute. Doesn't fail. We've never seen it fail.
Murder Inc.
They got slapped with a RICO and they defeated it?
You see. I know they beat the feds in trial.
Youngboy beat the feds in trial. What we're talking about is racketeering.
Okay, so the charge against Murder Inc., drug trafficking, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. It's not a RICO.
Not a RICO.
Okay.
Oh,
right.
RICO.
I got you.
And that's what I was saying about the RICO when it came to R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Because the top charge is a RICO. They throw 15 other things like you know what the Mann Act is?
Yeah.
The Mann Act is do you know what it is or
It's human slavery, right?
yes,
Yeah.
it's called the White Slave
Slave
Owner
Act. Yeah,
Act.
exactly.
And they really got that with R. Kelly because supposedly R. Kelly, and it's a very broad and vague act, but he supposedly purposely exposed these women to him having herpes. And that is now a deplorable type of act that when you're transporting people, even if they're not slaves, it is within the confines of that act. So they just throw it under the RICO. Then they have prostitution. Throw it under the RICO. Kids, throw it under. You can't beat it. How the hell you gonna beat that? Yo, the RICO, I'm telling you, the RICO is once they hit you with the RICO, I'm telling you, unless you legitimately had nothing to, you gotta be legitimately innocent. Like legitimately to beat that shit.
Well, Meek Mill had a video recently. He was walking around someplace, and he said, "No Diddy."
No Diddy gang, Meek Mill in real life. Don't ever disrespect me. You heard?
That shit, Meek. Yeah, Meek.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You saw that?
No, I seen it.
Yeah. I mean, look, you can't really no Diddy your way out of that photo. You got the matching outfit with Puffy. You can't no Diddy your way out of that. But I guess it's a little disappointing is that it seemed like Meek Mill was an actual friend.
There's no friends in the industry, Vlad.
But it seemed like they were actually had a relationship.
It's no friends in the industry, Vlad. There ain't no friends in the industry. I think a lot of people, you see all the silence we hearing now? I think Ray J kind of said, even though Ray J's kind of going a little cuckoo recently, love him. But here's there's a lot of people silent. And there's three reasons. One, they got some skeleton in their closet. They're like, let me not jump in because I don't want them to look at me. Two, some of them was at these parties and they may have freaked off a couple girls with Diddy.
Yeah.
And
Or
three,
guys.
yeah, or guys, right? And the third version is literally them trying to figure out like, I don't want to be against this guy if he beats it. So everybody's been watching it. So they're watching it and they'll be like, shit. We're like 23 lawsuits in. Yes.
More than that. That was over 120.
No,
I see what you're saying.
They haven't all filed yet. They haven't all filed.
Yeah.
So they're like, we're a bunch of lawsuits in, right? And I think now people will realize, man, fuck that friendship. It's time to save our own ass. That's the only part I like about with Meek Mill. Nobody ever accused Meek Mill of doing a crime. People accuse Meek Mill of being homosexual and doing some freak acts with Diddy. Let's be clear.
Yeah, although I don't think it's true.
Me either.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm saying. This I said there's no friends in the industry. No matter how much goddamn coconut Ciroc you fed that nigga, no matter how many times you took him to Neiman Marcus and Saks Fifth to cop matching outfits with him, no matter how many times, you know what I mean, you had the bubbles on by the spa, and of course you had the heated pool and he was resting, he was throwing out in that pool. And you were saying you deserve it, daddy. No
Right.
matter
You're
how
bunny
much
hopping around.
Yeah, no matter how much you do that for a nigga, at the very opportune point that he says it's time to kick his back in, he's gonna say, now I'm no Diddy gang. Here's my problem. You could clear up your masculinity or your sexuality without saying, if that was really your friend, yo, I don't know what's going on. You don't even got to co-sign him. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
Hey, anytime I was around him, I ain't seen none of that shit.
Right.
But me, I ain't gay. That you know what fucked Meek up? Is that fake audio of what they said this was an audio recording of what happened in the room. It was like, I'm serious.
I remember that, yeah.
I'm serious. The thing is, Meek is so internet stupid, like that shit's been bothering him. So here's the thing, and I know exactly what I was thinking. It's the elephant in the room every room Meek goes in. So Meek is showing out. He's in the hood now. So now when they put the camera on him, he got to be extra tough. Hey, yo, I'm no Diddy gang. Nobody even knew the gang existed. He created the gang. How you he just created the gang. Yo, I'm no Diddy gang now. What? Nobody ever thought, yo, we need to create a no Diddy gang. He created the gang, but it was peacocking. Pause. Like he wanted to show out to the other street dudes. Now I'm really against that because he knows when they look at him, they're wondering, was he into that funny shit? But that's why I said there's no friends in the industry. When you say that, given you're someone who knew him, I don't know Diddy. I never met him. I never hung around him. I never partied with him. I never had freak offs with him. We've never been we don't know each other. If I say no Diddy, okay, it's just a common term that people are using. When you say it, it's almost insinuating, and I'm saying you as in Meek, it insinuates, yeah, that nigga was doing some shit like that, so I'm just telling you, no Diddy now. You're throwing him under the bus.
I guess just as a grown man.
Are you part of the no Diddy gang?
I don't even know what that is. But look, like, let's just say you came in today and me and you had the exact same outfit on.
Mm-hmm.
We're not taking any pictures. We're just not going to do it. Yo, let's get a photo. No, we're not taking a photo. Much less if we planned it. Like, I would never plan to wear a matching outfit with someone I know. But let's just say by chance we had the same outfit on, we cannot take any photos together. It looks crazy. But yet, here goes Diddy and Meek Mill and a little person taking photos together, which looks crazy.
Vlad, I keep saying this, and I've been saying it with the new White Diddy, or I'm calling him the White Diddy, and we're going to say allegedly because we don't want to get no problems. Michael Rubin. Here's my problem with these rappers.
You're calling Michael Rubin the White Diddy?
I mean, shit.
What?
Well, hey, listen. We just hearing stuff right now. We don't know. Anyway, this is what I would say. When it comes to Meek, the reason why we look at him weird, and we looked at Lil Baby weird for a while, is that based on how y'all present each other, present yourselves to the masses, y'all would never do that with somebody who wasn't that rich and famous. This is why I believe the stories of when I hear about, what's the buff dude who said like he got turned out by some white executive or the dude grabbed his ass or whatever? Terry Crews.
Terry Crews, yeah.
When these rappers who are super macho, like if you were asking, if you were doing an interview with Meek, let's say before this happened, and we talking about rugged Meek out of Philly, dream chasers, you wouldn't even ask certain things of him, right?
Maybe.
Well, you wouldn't ask about his sexuality and really try to press him.
I mean, if there was rumors about his sexuality, I'd bring it up in an interview.
Well, okay, well, maybe. But anyway.
but that's, that's the VladTV thing. We don't hold back. Okay. If there's stuff out there and they specifically tell us not to ask about it, we're going to ask about it.
Okay. So the reason why I say that is that I've watched these rappers start acting like brand new people around really wealthy men. I don't think that if him and his...
They're starstruck. I mean, everyone gets starstruck by somebody.
But hear what I'm saying.
Jay-Z gets starstruck by certain people.
Hear what I'm saying. I don't think that if Meek pulled up and it was one of his homeboys from the block and they're wearing the same thing, I don't think they're taking that picture.
No.
But with Diddy, they allow it.
Right.
I don't think Lil Baby getting a reverse double Oreo hug at Michael Rubin party.
Double Oreo.
not with two goons. Not with two goons from Philly.
No.
From South Street? Hell no. Kensington? Hell no. But at the white party, oh, come on. Put your butt out a little bit. That's what it is. So I look at that and I'm like, that then makes me and most consumers say, maybe these niggas could get turned out. I'm not saying they did, but maybe. Now, here's the thing what I personally believe. I think that Diddy is bisexual. I personally believe.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think that Diddy knew that based on his power, he could play with these guys a certain way. Not saying he's fucking them, but he could do things. Yo, let me take you shopping. 50 was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, when 50 told that story on Drink Champs, I was like, yo, that's wild.
Who you think accepted the shopping spree?
Probably Meek Mill. I mean, but I told you my story. Did he try to buy my jacket off me in a club?
Shit.
It was weird. I said no. People were like, oh, you could have made a bunch of money. I said, yeah, but I would have lost a little bit of self-respect in the process.
Imagine
as I'm walking home cold with no jacket.
Imagine if you say, yo, Vlad, yo, I want to take you shopping at Hanes. Let's go buy some boxer briefs. You know what I mean? Hey, the point is this. I don't believe Meek Mill is homosexual, but I do believe that Diddy, based on his power, just like how, again, I think there was a kink for Diddy to be like, I have these powerful women, and I could just almost I could put them in sexual situations and watch and get my rocks off. I think Diddy was also getting off to the idea of the power he had. Yo, I have these two random people having sex for my pleasure. Because you got to get to a different level of freaky where you're not even fucking no more. You're just in a corner watching two people fuck.
Yeah.
And I think that was the getting off at power, which I think he was trying, Meek and maybe other people, they didn't know. And they're looking at it, no, it's Diddy. Like, yo, no, he's just being nice. He's taking me shopping. We got matching outfits. What's the problem? Now it looks crazy, right?
Well, the trial is set for May 5th, 2025. Do you think it'll actually happen on that date?
Hell no.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think there's a superseding indictment coming before the end of the year.
Yeah. It'll get pushed back probably 2026 sometime, be my guess. Maybe even later.
Even though, I'm going to be honest with you, the government case, right now it concerns me. And again, I'm saying this before the superseding indictment. Because I believe if Diddy took this to trial currently, I think Diddy has a good shot of beating it.
He does. He does. And I've been saying this, and people are like, oh, you're protecting him. You were probably at the freak-offs. I've been to one Diddy party. It was actually, I believe, Justin's 18th birthday party, which Diddy threw for a bunch of adults. You know, Khloe Kardashian was there. I wasn't at a kid's party. You know, people like to for no. It was an actual adult party in L.A.
Well, apparently they were all freak-offs. It depends on what time you left. What time did you go home?
I wasn't there for the after party.
I got invited to
the I was there at like 11, 12 p.m., right?
Okay, all right. They must have got you out of there.
Khloe Kardashian was there. French Montana was there. A bunch of other celebs. Justin Bieber was there, yeah. There's that. But, yeah, that was the one. Diddy was there, That was the one Diddy party I attended a couple Diddy parties. Actually, there was a few LA parties I attended, but I've never been to his house.
Vlad, you got a right to remain silent, okay?
No,
Anything you say or do will get you in a grand jury
gonna...
subpoena, okay? You're getting a grand jury subpoena right now. Tell us about these
parties. I've been to other Diddy parties, here and there, but I've never been invited to his house. I've never been to any after parties. I interviewed him once, and
Vlad,
he tried to buy my jacket.
I've been saying, listen, a lot of people clown me sometimes. They be like, oh, about weight, this and that. I said, listen, one thing I could definitely say when Cat Williams talking about, he said most of his decisions was to make sure he protected that virgin hole. I'm glad I'm not these type of niggas flavor, okay? So when they're trying to get their niggas to fuck on or to feel up on or to jack off, like they're not saying act, okay? I'm the last gonna be on that list, and I'm glad to be that person, okay? Because
you never know, man. Some people like guys like you. You know what I mean? Everyone got it tight. Everyone got it tight.
Well, anyway, I will say, okay.
I'm just saying.
Hey, back to what I was saying though. So the current indictment, and again, for anybody who's listening, I'm not saying Diddy ain't do whatever. I'm only speaking as objectively as I can based on what we've seen so far. We don't have a superseding indictment. Superseding indictment is going to be key. And by the way, even thinking about Durk's situation, we got a superseding indictment there quicker.
Yeah.
It's been a couple months. We didn't get a superseding indictment yet on Diddy. Right now, currently, there is one victim, which is Cassie. It's very abundantly clear that's Cassie. They're claiming somebody else is a victim, which, by the way, they kind of told on themselves, which obviously I guess Diddy knows now in Discovery. They said there's a victim 2, but here there's victim 2. Apparently they said they haven't talked to victim 2. They claim Diddy has made this victim 2 elusive to them, but they're claiming they're victim 2. And they said that Diddy is paying, or the last time has paid, I don't know if it's an employer or whatever, was September 2024. So let's just kind of bring it down to the meat and bones. Like, if the only victim here that they have and they're going to go to trial with is Cassie, if I'm Diddy, I'm like, oh, we're going to beat this. You know why? We're going to contextualize everything. You know what they're going to do? Yeah, we did beat her ass. Yeah, that happened. We're going to make up a story. They're going to be like, yo, she tried to steal. Yo, she was hitting me in the room before, whatever. Doesn't help it, but you're not going to get 20 years for sex trafficking for that, right? If you contextualize that story to say, hey, listen, The reason she got disgruntled, she cheated on me with the trainer. I cut her off. I was giving her allowances. By the way, Kalina just came out and said that she was getting was it 30, 40,000 a week? Cassie? She had multiple apartments being paid for, cars being paid for, everything just being taken care of. She cheats on Diddy. Diddy was always cheating, right? Diddy has multiple. She cheats on Diddy. Diddy cuts her off. She gets with the trainer. She doesn't come back till a couple years later, which if you would imagine someone who doesn't have a lucrative music career, doesn't have any lucrative business, the money starts drying up.
Her husband is broke also. He's a trainer.
And then she comes to Diddy and says, hey, I'm writing a tell-all book, but you could give me a big lump sum of money and I just won't put it out. Well, that kind of sounds like you wanted a check. Didn't seem like you were seeking justice, right? It seems like, and if that's the basis, and you plant it in the minds of a jury, and you keep hammering at that, hey, why we had a 10-year relationship, we don't have any attempts of her going to the police. Let's we're making this up right now.
No, she never went to the police.
Okay,
that's established. Yeah.
So she never said that. She never spoke out. She was the one recruiting people for these freak-offs. We broke up. We don't have any contact where she's saying, hey, you abused me until this point. You're going to send me to jail for 20 to 30 years because this person is now trumping this up? Both things could be true. We were in a toxic relationship. We argued, we fight. Yeah, not proud of it. She put hands on me. Maybe I did it too. You see it on the camera. That's how I think Diddy's lawyers are going to think about this, right? But they're going to end it overall by saying, but what this was, it was an unhealthy relationship, but it was not sex trafficking. This was a mutual consenting relationship by two adults. And I think if that's the situation, he has a good chance to beat at least the main thing. But the mere fact that they filed RICO, I keep telling you, when I see RICO, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
They're going to come with much more. And we got to imagine that people have either flipped on Diddy or, they've jumped off the wagon and they're cooperating against him.
I mean, listen, when I interviewed Roger Bonds and I said, would you take the stand if you were called? You said yes. If you get subpoenaed for this case and they ask you to take the stand in this case against Diddy, will you take the stand against him?
Yes.
You will?
Yes. Anything that I could do to help these women, I would do.
By the way, in the new filings, by the way, it's pretty long. It's 105 pages. It's 105? I can't remember how many pages it is, but witness one sounds like Roger Bonds.
Might be.
So they have witness one. It sounds like it was definitely a man. Sounds like someone that was employed. So I'm putting it towards Roger Bonds. It might not be. Witness two, 100% Kalina. Okay? It mentioned the 128 calls after the grand jury subpoena. So, and these are the only witnesses they're mentioning so far. They're saying Roger Bonds, Kalina. Obviously, the government has much more in store, but, there's a lot more that's going to be told later on. So I'm going to reserve my judgment.
Well, Tekashi 6ix9ine is locked up in the same prison as Diddy right now. The same jail, that is.
Yeah, I think his lawyer said that. So initially it was supposed to be. Some last minute finagling happened. They know 6ix9ine can't be no goddamn MDC Brooklyn.
Why not?
He cooperated. They're going to kill him.
I mean, can't they put him in isolation though?
So they have what they call the special housing unit.
Yeah.
And he's in one of those. But that doesn't necessarily, not all of those are in MDC Brooklyn. Like they have some that's in Queens. They have some of these are like offshoot places. And from what I've been told, he's definitely in one of those, which means he would never come in contact with Diddy at all.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's cellmates with Diddy. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, but he is locked up.
But he is locked up because he violated his probation. He got caught testing positive for meth, and he left the country. Which he claims is
Adderall, yeah.
But he also left the country illegally without getting permission.
Yeah, without getting permission.
Yeah. You got, 45 days or something?
Yeah, they gave him 45 days. He was at his last 6 months for probation. And for everybody who watches this and who thinks about Young Thug, just remember, just think about what's happening to 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine, he got the gold star from the feds. He did what they wanted him to do, right? And when it came time, obviously he's been fucking up, right? But I want to remind everyone, if you think these rappers, even if when they look as sad as they want to look in court, even Thug, You think for 15 years, with all the money and all the resources to his disposal, he's still going to be listening to probation or going to start bending the rules? Put it like this, NBA YoungBoy. They had him locked up for so long. They gave him house arrest. He's living in like a $10 million mansion. I've been up there. He has a militia guarding the spot.
Yeah, I heard about this.
Listen, wherever who's watching this live at, you wish you were on house arrest with YoungBoy, okay? Living good. And even then, when they raid the house, they find he's breaking every rule.
Yeah.
So I only say that to say these rappers specifically, based on the money and power, and sometimes they feel their celebrity status, and also whatever lawyer they have, right? Like how many times has Kodak got into some kind of trouble that Bradford Cohen helped him out with? These guys, they kind of like, even with 6ix9ine, and I'm saying this as his friend, he's consistently disobeyed or bent the rules where you made this agreement. You can't bend the rules. You made this agreement to be on parole or probation. You have to follow the rules. The rules say if you're going to go somewhere, you need to get permission and alert them at certain time. You can't be like, oh, no, I forgot. I'm just living my life. It doesn't work like that. And that's the real pitfall of probation or supervised release. I'm going to see how a thug deals with that, because even the one who got the gold star in class, 6ix9ine, got caught up on his last 6 months. They gave him another year now. And
he has another year of probation now?
Yes.
Oh.
So they canceled the 6 months, which it was about to be like 4 months now.
Yeah.
They canceled it. He's done for a year. So another year. And then they have him in phases. They're really punishing him. So 45 days in jail. When he gets out, 15 days. First 30 days, can't leave the house. Second 30 days, he could leave the house, but on a curfew. Next 30 days, he can't leave the country. Okay? And they have him where they're teaching him like, hey, listen, not because you snitch, you're the boss. We're the boss. Stop playing. We're the boss. We're the boss. We allowed you to be free. You could still be in here, even though you told. And I think that's how the justice system treats a lot of, rappers who kind of thumb their nose at it. Like, you're going to have multiple dirty piss tests and think you're going to be free, running around private jets here, there, everywhere. Your probation officer don't know what's going on. Nah, it's not going to happen. So I'm hoping he takes it serious after now. But I also look at people like Thug, 15 years. You think Fulton County's not mad? They're upset.
Yeah.
Seething. Did you see what Fonnie Willis put out? She's seething, upset. She's like, I hope these guys could move on, this and third. They got embarrassed so crazy by Brian Steele and the rest of the defense attorneys. The reason why they filed this charge, and by the way, the feds turned this case down. Feds turned it down. Talked to all the reporters there. What was that guy, the bald-head guy? Even George Cheedy said it, right? That's his name? Yep. And a bunch of other reporters. I just won't say the name because some of them speak to me off the record. They say, hey, the feds did look at this case. Turn it down. Why they turn it down? Sloppy. Yo, you guys already locked up. The main reason you guys are bringing this RICO charge, because is what I said. Once the RICO come, you can't get out of it. You guys try to prosecute a whole nother people for the death of the central death in this whole case, Donovan Nutt Thomas. You guys had to release those guys because you locked up the wrong people. You don't know what's going on. You don't know your head from your ass. So with this situation, they're embarrassed. The only way the mother of Donovan Nutt Thomas showed up, she went to 160 days of trial, sat there hoping for justice for her son, all to see it was a sham, all to see him walk out of court, all to see that the biggest punishment he's getting is 15 years probation and he can't come back to Atlanta. She was hurt. They tried to get her to speak. The prosecutor said, could she speak? The judge shut it down twice. No, it's not the time to speak.
Okay.
Imagine you're the mother of the central person who died in that whole situation.
You can't even speak.
And you can't even say how it affected you. You went to trial more than some of the attorneys.
Well, let's talk about this case, because in one of our interviews earlier this year, we talked about this case, and you predicted that Young Thug would be found guilty, which is true because he pled guilty and so forth.
Yeah.
But you did say you don't think he would get time served because the DA would have egg on her face if that ever happened.
Yeah.
He got time served.
It wasn't because of the DA. The DA, when they were negotiating the plea, the DA supposedly was offering time served, but was given so many stipulations. They wanted forfeiture. Give me all your cars, your jewelry, your houses. Because now what we're going to do with the forfeiture, and you're going to admit to that you were at fault for especially Donovan Nut Thomas' death. They're going to liquidate all that shit and give it to restitution and be like, hey, listen, we didn't get him for all the years. This case has been sloppy, but you get a couple million.
Yeah, that didn't happen, though.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
When they went in front of the judge for the non-contested plea, or non-negotiated plea, I mean, they said, we want him to do 45 years. So now they wanted the judge to give him 45. That judge, listen, you know, the legal system is a really complex thing, but Doug knew what it was from the get-go. And I'm pretty sure Brian Steele told him. Paige Whitaker, which is the judge down there, one of her biggest donors when she went through re-election to be a judge was Brian Steele. You think she was serious? And by the way, that was one of the issues that came up early on. The reason why that judge also had to recuse herself is that it was right under the limit. So they know who they're buddies. They play golf together. They have tea time. So I'm pretty sure a conversation happens.
Brian Steele is a wizard. He's a wizard.
Yeah.
When I saw what he pulled off, oh my God. I mean, especially remember when he was going to go to jail and he said, I'll serve my time with Young Thug in his cell so we can work on the case.
Yeah.
This guy's turning down $1 million offers left and right now.
Yo, right now, so that judge was angry at the prosecutor. Reamed them out in open court. You have to realize, you know, the DA is almost seen like an officer of the court, right? Like they work so hand in hand with the judge in essentially going through all these cases for whatever county they're in. For the judge to look at them and say, you guys don't know how to present a case. You're unprepared. You guys are basically saying you're garbage. That relationship, that's the essential relationship in prosecuting crime.
Yeah.
And if the judge is saying, by the way, the judge is saying this on record. If I'm anybody, first of all, if I'm a criminal, I'm moving to Fulton County. This is where crime is going to be. It's going to be the best place. Gotta be. Because here's the thing. Two things happened that's really important recently in Fulton County. So all y'all criminals, leave everywhere else. Just go to Fulton County, please. Okay, leave us alone. Go have the purge down there. Two important things that happened. So remember I said the feds didn't touch this case. Feds aren't sloppy. We're not going to see that happen in the Durk case. We're not going to see it happen in any federal case. You're not going to, the feds come in with so much evidence. Look at the Quando Rondo stuff. They come with I've never seen clearer pictures in my life. They got it shit in 4K, right? The feds turned down this case, one and no parts. Instead, they spent their resources, the Department of Justice, to investigate Fulton County jails to say they're delinquent and it's inadequate to house inmates and guarantee their safety. They showed 6 black men getting killed there. So they spent years doing this report, scathing report. Almost, it's a possibility that after the state has a conversation, they might say, hey, we're taking over that jail, the feds. So the feds are saying the jails are trash, and that gives anybody who, if you get locked up for a gun and they want to remand you, all you got to say, the feds said, that's not I might die in there. What you mean? Give me house arrest. I could make sure I come back to court. Give me house arrest, right? It's going to help your case. Now, here's the thing. Imagine if you're going to get prosecuted by these two DAs, these two ladies, these two black ladies, Miss Love and Miss Hilton. You remember what this judge just said on record. Unprepared. They're putting words in the defendant's mouth.
Yeah.
Or in witness's mouth. They don't know how to present a case. They're damn near using ex parte meetings to bias the whole thing out. You get all you need. And by the way, if I'm locked up from these two prosecutors, I'm filing all type of appeals. Call your lawyer. If you're locked up right now, you're in prison in Georgia, and the two people who put you in jail is Miss Love and Miss Hilton, hit up a lawyer. You have grounds to get out. Their sloppiness, the way that they handle that is probably some type of grounds to have your case looked at to be like, hey, this was kind of improper on the prosecutor's side. And from that on, from my seeing that, I was just like, yeah, this is a sham. Even though I still stick to my point. If you go to the jury, they didn't do 200 days of trial just to be like, oh, it only relies on YSL Woody in this. They brought up a lot of witnesses. By the way, they're supposed to arrest this week, supposedly. And the reason why they're arresting is that the rest of their witnesses doesn't need to be called because Young Thug and a couple of other guys are out. So they only have 2 people left. So they're arresting this week. And the main thing is Yak Gotti I think he has a murder. Hey, at this point, God help the people in Fulton County. You know, I think we got to give Thug credit for his resolve, for having Brian Steele. Brian Steele just an amazing lawyer. But we also got to thank Fulton County for being a shit show and being the example of where, as I said, if I'm a robber, scammer, killer, I'm going to Fulton County.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you another example of Fulton County just being garbage. When you see YSL Woody supposedly admitted to killing one of the main people. He said, I killed him. So he's an alleged killer, okay? He's taking pictures with all the court reporters. They're like a fan. They love him. You think you're going to get justice here? They love the guy who's a killer. They're damn near flirting with him. One of the judges had to get recused. Remember, we had Glanville first and another judge. And she had to get recused. Why? Her bailiff is smashing one of the defendants. The criminals are fucking the people in the court. You think you're getting justice? Come on. Let's be clear. So again, you know, rap fans, we don't give a fuck about justice. We care about rappers. But I do want to remind everybody here, in all these situations, and I'm guilty of this too, there are actually victims. There's moms burying sons. I know some of y'all don't care, right? Because we want Thugger to hit us with the next hit. But there's mom burying sons. There's multiple people dead. There's multiple people who are serving life in prison. And there's multiple people whose lives has been completely torn apart. And at the end of the day, we get to realize you could buy some shit in America. You could definitely buy this.
Well, yeah, because Young Thug's plea deal is time served, 15 years probation. Now, he could face 20 years if he violates. He pled guilty to 1 gang charge, 2 gun charges, and 3 drug charges. He also submitted a no contest plea to a separate gang charge, a racketeering conspiracy charge. He is banned from the metro Atlanta area for 10 years, except for funerals, weddings, and graduations. He's ordered to do 4 presentations or concerts a year that are explicitly against gang violence. No contact with gang members or YSL affiliates, except for Gunna. He actually put Gunna in the paperwork saying that he's allowed to work with him. You know, and you were right. The state wanted 45 years with 25 years to serve and 20 years on probation. That got thrown out the window. And you're right. Yak Gotti refused to do a plea deal, and he's now going through the rest of his trial. Now, there was these tweets that came from Young Thug's account that basically said, Gunna, stop acting like we friends on the interview. I don't know you, my guy. But then that was taken down right away. There was some other tweets that seemed like he was hacked. Did that really come from Young Thug? And is he cool with Gunna, or is he not cool with Gunna?
Listen, it's been so interesting because I think fans want this perfect world where they love each other. Young Thug has been telling every rapper in Atlanta that he don't like that guy from when he was incarcerated. And by the way, I think that's why he has to stand on it too. Because...
Well, so why make the exception that he could speak to Gunna?
Because they do business together. Well, listen,
you don't have to directly speak to someone just because you do business with them. You could speak to it through an intermediary.
Well,
I guess that's still speaking, I guess?
No. Well, that could be grounds, potentially. This is me.
Yeah, for a probation violation. Yeah.
No, not probation. This is guess. Well, not only that, but me guesstimating is really thinking that a lot of this is contractually based. I'll give you an example. I forgot. Shotty had like a bunch of people under, you know, when he started the Treyway label, he had a bunch of people on a contract, some management, some signed to the label. Once he got locked up, they all got out scot-free. The reason why is that in most of these contracts, if the law prohibits you from dealing with that person, that contract is null and void. Like, for example, you know, I don't want to give anybody any ideas, but Tory's locked up. He's managing a couple people. They could get out of the contract like that. If you are physically unable to provide the services that you signed the person to do, that person gets out. Here's what we realized with Thug. He's going to work Gunna like a slave. Hey, listen, okay, I don't like you, but you going to keep making that money. I'm getting the lion's share to cut anyway. We know that's how labor deals work. Hey, we don't got to talk, but we're going to make it that you have no way to get out of this shit. That's what I personally believe.
So you think they're not cool because Gunna took the plea deal and admitted that YSL is a gang?
Yes. Listen.
Okay.
You know, I've said this before. This was a plan that Young Thug set in motion. And everybody, like, you see no one that's even really in the know come out and be like, oh, Ak, you're lying about this. Because I heard the full voice recording. There's a voice recording that leaked with him and Baby. In the full recording, he said, I don't fuck with that nigga. He says, I want to drop on that fuck nigga's date. Okay? Who's he talking
that's
about?
Baby saying that?
No. That's Gunna. No, not Gunna. I mean, Young Thug. He just want to drop song. So when he dropped his album, initially he wanted to drop when Gunna dropped.
Oh.
So you could tell you don't like him. He wanted to recruit, it's a few rappers, I'll give you two, Baby and Durk, to do features for it. And it was almost telling them, hey, listen, these songs he already made the songs because he locked up. So you guys could diss him. Okay? He said, now again, this is a jail call too. This is a jail call. And if the jail calls ever come out, I would bet anybody $1 million is there. Okay? Because this is not no secret phone. This is a jail call. But of course, he got a talking code because he can't say, I want you to do something to the guy. So he's sent messages. This is why I believe you got to stand on it. Because though those songs never came out, those two guys never featured on the album, right? Baby went on to say things that were, we don't fuck with snitches, and then he came with the whatever Wham says goes, because he was trying to send this message to the masses. I don't fuck with this guy, and y'all think we fuck with each other. Gunna's really smart. Gunna just been silent. He don't say nothing. He'll even post Free Thug. That's what he used to do. So you think that they're cool. Like, oh, well, he's posting Free Thug. Nobody's saying otherwise. The sister and everybody else, they're not going to say, oh, no, we hate him, because at that time they're trying to get Jeffrey, Young Thug, out on bail or some type of, they don't want to get more
charges. Remember Young Thug's kids were rapping about Gunna, shooting Gunna and stuff like that? Like,
come on, they know what it is. Somewhere. Yeah, come on, they know what it is. So I think Thug is happy for his freedom, but I think he has to ride against Gunna, mostly because he kind of instructed other people to carry out his bidding when he was locked up. So you can't now get free and be like, oh, nah, I only felt that way when I was locked up. So this is why, he's still trying to send that message. We're going to see how the new music he puts out, what that messaging is, even though I said this publicly, he's going to realize nobody cares. Respectfully. You're not, you have all this clout. You're the king of Atlanta right now. We do want to hear your project, but you can't make people hate Gunna.
Yeah, because Gunna proved that he had a real fan base and became more popular even after the snitching, that he did, whatever you want to call it.
He leapfrogged Baby.
Yeah. I did a poll. I said, who's the hotter artist right now? Lil Baby or Gunna? 65% said Gunna, which would have been crazy 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Everyone would have said Lil Baby.
Yeah.
So Young Thug can't do any gangster lyrics at all. He's not going to drop a gospel album. Do you think he could pull off an album that people will like without having any of the content that he's known for with all his other albums?
This is going to be policed by Fulton County. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that judge listens to Young Thug. That shit's a sham. He's just going to have to rap more in code. He can't just say, I'll pull up on your block and shoot your mommy like he usually says. He'll just have to be a little bit more creative. But he's going to rap
Which he actually said before.
Yeah, he's gonna rap about gangster shit, bro. Like, what do you think he's going to rap about? I love you. No, he's not rapping about that. He's going to be rapping about, I'm a real one. I did my time. Niggas play with me. They get stepped on. All he got to make sure he doesn't do is keep saying slat or wiping his nose or I'm King Slime.
All the stuff that's in the paperwork. Yeah, just avoid that stuff.
It's like remember when the New York judge, this is before 6ix9ine got the RICO, and they say, hey, listen, you can't say Treyway no more. It's like, okay, cool.
No problem.
He got on a song with Tory Lanez, and he said, it's fucking, and Tory comes in and says, Treyway! Like, come on, you're going to get around it. Like, you get around, listen, these judges ain't stopping nothing. Because, put it like this, Doug is going to test the water. I know there's a bunch of AI songs out right now, but he's going to test the water with some shit. And every rapper does this, because you know all these gangster rappers, they get in court and they be like, I'm a good guy, I'm not a thug no more, I want to change my life. And Doug said it's kind of the same. And anyone would say it because you're in court. He's going to drop a song or try a song, which is kind of like a little bit softer. And people going to be like, nah, take him. This is how fans are ungrateful. Take him back. We want the old thug. You get what I'm saying? And then he's going to realize, oh shit, I got to give them this raw, aggressive music. I just got to be more creative. He's going to find the middle ground to that. No more shouting out gangs, but you could definitely be like, very coded. Hey, instead of saying, I shoot you with the switch 50 times, I'll pull up in Yo, he's the guy who said I put the brack in my brack or whatever the hell he was saying.
Right. What does that mean? Yeah.
Yeah, he'll find a creative way to say it, be like, oh no, I got what you said. So Young Thug's a wizard that way, and I expect it to completely work.
Do you think that Lil Baby's going to come out as big as he was, or do you think Baby's on a decline right now? And I'll just say this, there is now a plethora of artists that are coming out who are saying first week numbers don't matter. We're so tired of this. You know, I remember there was a post, I forgot whose page it was on, where 5 Foreign, like they posted that. And I just made a comment. I said, listen, everyone wants to say the numbers don't matter when their numbers are declining. Let's just all admit that numbers matter. You know, and people are like, oh, fuck you, Vlad, you're the fans. And he's like, oh, haha, look at those comments, Vlad. And I'm like, you need to pay attention to the numbers rather than the comments, 5 because your numbers are in decline. You know, Corday said, oh, I'm getting tired of, I know people that do 60K first week and, you know, they do stadiums. Look, Polo G's numbers are down. People like to say numbers don't matter when their numbers aren't what they used to be, but numbers really do matter.
We ain't hear Glorilla say
all of the big dogs, the Drakes, the Taylor Swifts, the Kendricks, they're all expecting big 6-digit numbers when they drop. If they do a 5-digit first week, it's going to matter.
Numbers matter. It always matters.
It always matters.
You know, the only conversation I would have with those people is that, hey, maybe we should look at sales in a more realistic perspective in terms of consumption. But a metric is going to, does your bank account matter? Does the numbers under contract matter? Of course, it all matters.
Yeah.
You get to realize, it's like we do YouTube. It's like me saying views don't matter.
Yeah.
Views don't matter.
You never hear YouTubers say that. Views don't matter. It's about the content.
Now I hear some YouTube say it, but those are the failures. They'll be like, nah, man, the ones that fell off, they'd be like, man, I used to get all that, but it ain't about views no more. Okay, cool. That's your way to explain.
Well, when you don't get views, you don't get money.
Exactly.
So it is what it is.
So that's a coping mechanism. I get it that sometimes, you know, these days, first week sales, there's a lot of different ways that people are consuming music. I'll give you a couple examples. Fortnite you can listen to a whole Ice Spice song in Fortnite. I don't know if that necessarily counts. Meta, the music industry is focused on Meta a lot. They're making a shit ton of money. Like Meta is paying them directly from you know, you have the music hovering over. They've actually said it's gaining so much. It gained like 3 times since the last quarter. So they're making a lot more money elsewhere, not just actual DSPs and buying, but I think include everything in the mix. We need numbers though.
Yeah. People
who act like numbers should not be in the mix are just people who they don't know how to answer to their fans and other people. And also, this is the thing I've heard a lot. I've heard these artists have this conversation with me a lot. They said, Gilly even sent this. He said, yo, y'all got to stop focusing on first week number because y'all scared to drop. And he sent it to me and said, man, y'all talk to these guys privately. A lot of them keep mentioning you. You report the numbers and you shame them. You turn their positive press into negative press. So, and this is a real thing. Artists will not drop. I know an artist who said, yeah, I ain't dropping no album because when I drop, I got to be of a certain level. So I'm going to just keep giving a song here. So I'm like, so you do care about the numbers.
Of course.
So when they say numbers don't matter, it's them trying to ingratiate their fans to be like, please don't think about it. But fans are always going to think about consumption. People talk about rappers like people talk about their favorite ball players, right? Hey, how many points per game? How many rebounds? How many assists? Hey, are you being consumed more than the other person?
Right.
That's all it is.
That's it.
And it's a tangible thing that numbers are going to tell us what it is.
Right.
Right? Now, I think that all numbers should matter. For example, Rod Wave. I went out to Texas. I seen his show. Dude has 14,000 people in Toyota Center. That's really good. We should also think about, hey, how much people do you pull out live? How many people you pull out live? How many people listen to your album DSP? We should think about all numbers. But to say numbers don't matter is to say that you shouldn't have got your record contract because you probably got that record contract based on a very calculated, outlook of what you could gross versus what they could invest, and over a certain time period, and how many albums that is deserving of being in that contract. That's how people running a business here. Mm-hmm. Yo, have you ever heard any smart businessman say, I don't give a fuck about the books. Yeah. We don't care about who gives a fuck about revenue?
Fuck that profit margin.
Yeah, fuck the revenue. We just out here selling chicken. Come on, bro.
It's about the chicken and nothing else.
Yeah, come on. So I get it in what they're trying to say. Like, you know, they don't want to be shamed and they want to still, because sometimes you got to work through it, right? The worst thing for a rapper is inaction, when they're scared to flop so they don't drop. Yeah. And, you know.
Cardi B's in that boat right now.
You think so?
When's her last album?
I don't think she's scared to flop. I think she
I think she is.
You think so? I believe
her last album was so big and made such an impact. Mm-hmm. And I remember she even she's laughing about it. I remember there was a tweet that she retweeted, and it's a picture of her as like an old lady, and it's like, it's 2080, and you know, Cardi B just dropped her sophomore album. You know what I'm saying? She's like, haha, that's pretty funny. Think about it. Like, she's still a viable artist. What's it been, like 8 years since her last album?
Yeah, but if we're thinking about just money-wise, she's still making $300,000 a show.
I understand that, but she hasn't dropped a new body of work.
Okay.
Since then.
And I think we're going to disagree on this, but I do want to hear the commenters on this. And I know I'm going to mention
2018. It's been 6 years.
You're right.
Yeah.
I mentioned someone who it's actually been 8 years. And when I think about Rihanna, and I know people might be like, oh my God, there's two different artists. I get it. I complete it.
Rihanna's too rich. She launched a side business that completely eclipsed the amount of money she could make in music.
Okay.
That's why she's not dropping. It's not about the jinx of dropping another album.
I mean, you're right. That of course.
When you're a billionaire, you're not really thinking about albums all that seriously anymore. Look at Dr. Dre.
Hold on, but Vlad,
you think Dr. Dre cares about his next album?
No, I guess you, but
Detox never dropped.
Hear what I'm saying, Vlad? For Cardi, this is how an artist thinks. Cardi makes the same amount of money. Like, she's at this stagnant level. She would make approximately the same amount now as if she did drop an album. There is kind of no upside other than paying off a label.
No, because she can go on. No. Because when she drops an album, she can go on on a worldwide tour.
She can do that now.
Not in the same way as when you're promoting a new album. You see what I'm saying? When you drop a new album, you have a reason to book a whole ton of dates. Yes, she could technically. No, there'll be more excitement over booking her with her new album than her, hey, this is the girl from the album 6 years ago. We're just going to redo a bunch of those old songs on stage. Nah, that's not going to work. I'm disagreeing with you on this one.
Okay, so I think for her, there's just no urgency.
Listen, she's rich. We all know that. But she hasn't dropped her second album. And she's been doing little features here and there, and that's it.
Let me bring both of those artists together, even though I agree with you, they're worlds apart. Cardi B and also Rihanna. And I've heard this, this is behind the scenes with even Rihanna. I heard that, hey, listen, there's a lot of pressure coming off of, that Anti-album is fucking classic.
Right.
If you drop something that's mid, or the people would be like, we wait, which we see all the time. When fans get weight fatigue, where you get to a point, it's like with Detox. You get to the point that nothing will satisfy them. So you kind of tease a couple shit and they're like, we waiting all this time for this? And those artists they're almost like, you know what? It's better to stay in the position of them wanting me than me dropping. That's why I believe that, why did Dr. Dre go towards dropping
Compton?
Yeah. Rather than doing Detox? And you were working on that for forever, right?
Right. And Compton was somewhat mid.
But even then, it alleviated some of the pressure. I do think that with Cardi B, I think she's looking at it. Every song, it's one of the only albums that every song on that album is platinum. Every song.
From first album?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every song. And by the way, it got good reviews. Yeah, I think that she's feeling a lot of pressure of creating something that is that potent and is probably just saying, fuck it, let me live off the hype of that album continuing rather than put something out and then people be like, oh wow, she really ain't it no more. Right?
Yeah, but that's all in your head.
Also,
that's all in your head. You could say that about anything in life. Let me not do anything. Let me choose inaction because I don't want the criticism of when I actually do it.
It's the same with Rihanna, though.
We're all business people. We're all artists in our own way, and we all put out content, whether it's me or you or whether it's musicians or producers or filmmakers. Yes, you got to stick your neck out, and you got to deal with some people loving it and some people hating it. But at the end of the day, you have an amount of inactivity from Cardi that none of her peers have been doing. Nicki's been dropping. Lotto's been dropping. Glorilla's been dropping. Who am I missing, girl-wise?
Respectfully, I think
Megan's been dropping. You see what I'm saying?
I think her
Everyone's
only
been
peer is
dropping.
Nicki. I think her only peer is Nicki in terms of her level.
Nicki's
And-
been dropping. Nicki just dropped a, I thought a solid album. In fact, you know me, I'm not one who defends Nicki all the time. But what I did say recently in a tweet, which all the Barbs retweeted, I said, it's ridiculous that Andre 3000 gets nominated for Album of the Year for that bullshit flute album, whereas Nicki had the #1 album with a bunch of big songs on it and went on one of the biggest world tours ever and hasn't even gotten nominated over a bullshit flute album. And people say, well, he's older and to learn a new instrument, it's really hard and it's commendable. The Grammys are not to get you, to pat you on the back and say, hey, good job for someone your age. It's to basically recognize the people at the top of their field.
I agree with you.
Andre 3000 is not Kenny G. Kenny G's a master with the flute and has huge songs that are flute songs. I don't know a single human being that has mentioned anything off of that flute album. Am I right?
I agree with you.
Am I right?
And by the way, I've heard it's just not that good either.
I've heard it. It was just okay. Okay, experimental. I'm proud of him for doing it. But to be nominated for Album of the Year? Are you crazy right now?
This is why sometimes...
fuck the Grammy. The people that are voting for the Grammys, like, y'all really need to be slapped up for that shit. It's ridiculous.
This is why sometimes I feel like maybe name recognition does work, or sometimes they feel like the Grammy does makeup calls, where it's like, hey, you didn't get this for that, so when you drop your next, we're going to just throw you in there.
Right.
They've also accused Oscars of that as well.
No, listen, the Grammys have always gone for the artsy stuff. That's why Kendrick was winning a lot in the beginning. He was really artsy. He was creative. He was different.
Oh, them K-barbs, they ain't gonna like that. That's what I call them, K-barbs, Kendrick fans.
That's
K-barbs.
okay. That's okay.
They'll be like, no, it's not because he's artsy, it's because he's the best.
No, listen, the amount of Grammys that Kendrick was getting, I don't feel is really tied to the overall quality. Now, should he get some Grammys? Absolutely. But him getting all the Grammys and Drake barely getting any, I thought was very lopsided. Because Drake was dropping great projects during that time, but they weren't artsy like that. So I get it. But this flute album really just shows a ridiculous bias, and really, I feel is completely detached from the way the world works. The fact that Travis Scott never has Grammys, I think is crazy also. You know what I'm saying?
He's not a Grammy artist. What people don't understand, and
what's a Grammy artist? We're all putting out albums. Like, everyone's technically a Grammy artist.
So the Grammys have their ideal philosophy on what music is. As much as they say they're experimentative and creative, they only respect a certain art from a certain ilk. For example, NBA YoungBoy, you're not going to get no Grammy nominations. Kevin
Which is
Gates,
too bad.
He's not going to get a
Also
Grammy
too bad.
right? Like,
Yeah.
They're going to give it to a specific type of artist. And currently, they're not in the process of recognizing what Travis Scott does. The BET Awards, the MTV VMA Awards will, but they're not into recognizing the super over auto-tune, hey, this is about rage music, did you ever been to the rodeo? They're not there yet. Hopefully it will change with time. But currently...
Yeah, I think it's a travesty.
Yeah.
I think it's a travesty.
And by the way, going back to the Nicki point, the reason why you can't compare Nicki and Cardi respectfully is that I believe that Cardi is loved partly for her music, but is loved for her. Nicki's a musician. Nicki's just really loved. I mean, people do love her. Like, them Barbs love her for everything. But Nicki's like rapper. Like, Nicki got to keep rapping. Like, Cardi, you remember Cardi blowing up, loving hip hop, people loving her personality on Instagram.
Yeah.
Right? The rapping wasn't there at first.
Right.
And then eventually when the rapping got there, and by the way, she puts out good music now too.
Yeah.
But I don't think people are like, if you don't give us good music, we don't fuck with you. I think people are like, Cardi's one of those, the first of the mix a Kardashian, obviously in the black world, mix a Kardashian with some talent.
Yeah.
Right? When she goes to talk shit about Offset, everybody cares.
Right,
it's
right.
like the biggest news in the world.
Yeah, she's the first, like, really standout reality show star turned rapper.
Yeah,
that
people
really
just love
got
her.
to the highest levels. I mean, there's been lots of reality show people that have gone on and have careers, but she got to the highest, multi-platinum album. Like you said, every single went platinum. That's not hype. That's not fake views. That's people actually messing with the music. Because she dropped a great first album. But at the end of the day, man, she hasn't dropped anything else. Do I think that Nicki is technically a better artist than Cardi? Yeah. People think, me and you always hate on Nicki. No. There's certain things about her that we don't like, that we've been vocal about, but we've never said she's a bad rapper, she's not a great artist, she has no fans or whatever else. I've always given her the props. I've interviewed her before. At the end of the day, it is what it is. But Cardi just needs to drop. And listen, if this album doesn't come off as well as the last one, well, then you could drop another album. You probably have enough stuff enough content and songs for probably about 3 or 4 albums right now.
Yeah, I talked to Cardi, and this was after, so I went into her comment section. I think she was about to air out Offset again. And I went in there trolling a little bit, but I'm like, all right, you're back on making another announcement, I hope. I guess we're not getting no music this year. And she responded, and she said, how you know you're not going to get anything this year? She kind of teased and left the door open and say, I might drop this year. I don't think she dropped an album this year. I know Atlantic is probably like, yo.
Well, it's the end of the year at this point, so. Although fourth quarter is
got a couple of weeks,
is the time to do it. But, you usually build up with a big single to the album since there's no singles at all.
Yeah.
The last single was the song with Megan.
When I talked to her privately, and I think she's okay with me saying this, I think she's done different versions of the album. And for her, she according to her, it's not an Atlantic situation. It's about what she's comfortable with, right? Obviously, there is a lot of change in Atlantic, and what she did say to me, she's like, hey, listen, I'm kind of like putting the raps on it, but then I'm going to get with the label and figure out what changes they have there, and hopefully we can get on the same page to roll it out. I'm hoping that comes sooner than later. I've been in one of the, I consider her, me and her, we have a great relationship. And I've always given her the benefit of the doubt with putting out music. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to give her until July. After July, I'm going to start calling her out, probably not to her liking, because it's a little bit too much. I agree. Like, if she don't put it out by then, because I've been trying to give her grace. She's, what I've commended about her is that she's shown so much of enjoying life just beyond being on that, almost that rotisserie cycle of just being an artist. She's had multiple kids. She's on 3 kids. She's, obviously issues.
3 kids?
Yes, she just gave birth.
3 kids. Yeah,
to,
you're right.
To the last one. And I'm like, you know what? She's living a experience. I think she's just 30 at this point, right? She's living this whole experience of being an artist, being a mother, being a family person. She's trying to combine it into growing gracefully. So I've given her a lot of grace.
Yeah, she's 32.
But that's gonna wear out if she don't give us something by July. I'm gonna be like, yo, Cardi, you see me like you're lazy. What's going on? Or I'm gonna have to listen to Vlad. Maybe you're scared, right?
Okay, Lil Durk. I've been waiting to get to this part. He just hired Drew Finley, a.k.a. the $1 billion lawyer, who I interviewed before. This is the same lawyer that represented Big Meech, Cardi B, Boosie, Young Dolph, YFN Lucci, and a bunch of other people.
And NBA Youngboy, too.
And NBA Youngboy, yeah, forgot about him. So, I used to always say in my interviews, when talking to rappers, I said, look, if you really have serious beef in your city, all you have to do is go to another state. No one will ever send, someone to kill you on an airplane in a whole different state. You'll be safe. No one's stupid enough to actually do this. Lil Durk proved me wrong. Lil Durk, allegedly, because he hasn't been convicted yet, sent a hit squad to kill Quando Rondo in LA. So we actually did our first ever documentary on this. I don't know if you saw it or not. Shout out to Traplo Ross. I actually showed it to him before I put it out and got a few of his,
by the way,
his little, opinions on it. Go ahead.
Can I just comment on the first thing you said? You said no one would be stupid enough. I think most rappers who have beef, they're not thinking about whether what they're doing is they're moving smart or they're moving dumb. It's about, I think fans really underestimate how many people got real beef. Let's be very clear. They try to kill Dolph multiple places, not just in Memphis.
True. Yeah, his car got shot up.
A lot of these guys,
in LA. Yeah.
once they get rich, they don't bring beef to wherever the hell they're going. These guys don't have, Durk was embroiled in some eternal, I need you off of this earth beef. That's different.
Because of King Von?
Of course. Not only that, he needed the guys who killed his brother off this earth. Durk is a different breed than a lot of these rappers. I've been telling people that gangster rap doesn't change. Drill completely eviscerated that. Because y'all are, these guys used to be like, like I might not be talking about my experience. I might be talking about my experience from the past or the homies. The new rapper that fans flock to, they're talking about shit going on now. Things they did, hits they sent. And I'm not bragging about this, but this is why when we talking about Durk, think about gangster rappers in general. They wasn't doing none of this. So when you're saying that no one's stupid enough to do it, did they have beef like this? Or again, were they actively having people getting murdered and rap about it? No. These guys, they're talking.
Let me think. That's actually a good question. I mean, people were dying over at Death Row Records. Were they really incorporating it into lyrics? Not so much.
Well,
not so much.
Back then, it's harder to figure out the behind the scenes. I remember even let's say the 50 era, right? Even the whole Jimmy Henchman, like all those backstories playing out, it was kind of like I didn't know too much about it. Now with social media, we follow the shooters. The shooters got 60,000 followers.
Right.
You know why? Because the rapper's gonna say, Tim, he a crash out. He just pop a nigga in his head. Oh shit. Tim, he's on the gram? Oh, I gotta follow him. Tim's posting up every gun known to man. He's got a Call of Duty loadout. It's like, oh shit, we're gonna follow him.
Okay, so let's talk about this case. So we all know the background of it. King Von attacks Quando Rondo. Lil Tim pulls out a gun and kills King Von. A shootout happens. Tim gets shot twice, ends up with a coloscopy bag. King Von dies. Slutty dies. O-Block Louie gets shot in the head. I interviewed him at one point. He's actually in jail right now, allegedly, for shooting Lil Tim.
That's the rumor that he's shot.
That's the rumor, which honestly doesn't make sense to me because if Lil Tim got off with Stand Your Ground for protecting
I think so.
Protecting Quando, wouldn't Louis get off with Stand Your Ground for protecting King Von? See, I think that's just a false rumor.
Well, technically it wouldn't work like that. So usually in Stand Your Ground, if he's part of the group of the aggressors and he's with King Von,
well, I see
him shooting somebody else. Now, by the way, that kind of mirrors angle that in the Takeoff that they were trying to say. Because the guy who allegedly shot Takeoff, who got charged, Patrick Clark, he was saying, well, even though some people who I know got into this argument with Takeoff and Quavo, when I shot, again, most of these, like, it's usually said, if you ever take any self-defense class or concealed carry class, it says a lot of times, well, all the time, the lawyer's going to go, what you knew at the time. So if in your mind, you pulled that trigger thinking I'm defending someone because of this crazy melee, you don't know that you guys had no plan to go kill somebody, but you think you're defending someone or defending yourself, that's still self-defense. They usually just put everything on the main aggressor. That's how they usually do it. So that's how we could possibly think about that, but we don't know yet fully.
Well, the main aggressor is dead.
Yeah,
which is Von. And
that's what I'm saying.
At that moment, Louis could have said, I didn't know what was happening. I turned around and I saw this guy shooting my friend, so I pulled out a gun to defend him.
That's why I think that no DA is going to take that to trial.
Right.
If that's the case, but we don't know what it is.
Okay, so the shooting happens, right? 2 years goes by, Lil Tim gets out of jail, charges are dropped, stand your ground. So then, the day before the murder, on August 18th, 2022, OTF members, and this is according to the feds, this is not me talking, this is the actual paperwork you and I went through the fine-tooth comb. OTF members learned that Quando Rondo was staying in a hotel in LA from a longtime OTF affiliate, co-conspirator 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So, after they learned about this, the following men took a one-way flight from Chicago to San Diego. OTF Didi, OTF Boogie, Flocka, and Brown Eyes, who are both allegedly vice lords. Now, all those tickets was purchased with an OTF credit card. And there's a text message from Durk saying, don't book any flights under my name, which of course they did.
You gotta run up those points on the Amex card. Come on,
Yeah,
though,
you
like,
got it.
Everybody knows
that's
it.
more important
Gotta
than
run it
freedom.
up.
Right. On the same day that those guys flew in to LA, OTF, Vonnie, and Lil Durk flew in on a private plane to Los Angeles. This is where it gets crazy. The same guy who's on the private flight with Durk on the way to LA, OTF Vonnie, goes and gets a white BMW from a rental company.
Shout
From
out
a
to Hertz.
rental company with
Shout
a
out to Hertz
GPS
Enterprise.
track.
You know?
And they also get a white Infiniti with fake license plates. Then OTF Vonnie takes this rental car with GPS tracking to Big 5 Sporting Goods and buys 4 ski masks. The GPS put him at the store at the time of the purchase. There's probably cameras in the store and they have a receipt for the actual purchase to him. He also goes and gets a bunch of guns, including a Glock with a switch, and he provides these guns to Flocka Brown Eyes and co-conspirator 2. The day of the murder. By the way, all this is accurate, right? You're not disputing any of this. According
By
to
the
the
way,
feds.
co-conspirator 2 drove down. It said he drove to the area after co-conspirator 5 told him to.
Right. We don't know who co-conspirator 2 is right now.
Yeah, and we don't know who 5 is. And 5 had a conversation with Vonnie and Durk,
Exactly.
who told him that was happening.
Right.
By the way, you know what's so funny? And it's funny about crime. Like, even you have to be really like so much ahead. I know somebody's gonna say, based on what you said, well, why would they get a rental car? If you kind of look at how the murders carried out, that rental car was never to be used in a murder. It was a tracking car. We're gonna be in this car. The 2 people in that car, not saying they're not shooters or killers.
We'll get to that part.
Go ahead.
We'll get to that part because I'm going to answer your question. So the day of the murder, and by the way, all those guys who were flown in, those 4 guys, all stayed in a hotel, once again using Durk's credit card, an OTF credit card. Once again, they stayed there for one night. That next day, Quando Rondo, Lil Pop, his cousin, and others left the hotel in a black Escalade. The BMW, the rental, driven by OTF Vonnie with Flocka Brown Eyes and co-conspirator 2 in the car, as well as the white Infiniti with a fake license plate, followed Quando's car for hours. He stopped at a dispensary. He stopped at a clothing store. For hours, they kept following around until they finally stopped at a gas station across the street from the Beverly Center. The same BMW that's being rented from a commercial rental company, driven by the guy who flew in with Durk, pulls up, and then Flocka Brown Eyes and co-conspirator 2 get out of the car and open fire on the car.
No, you got that slightly wrong. So the BMW actually pulls up to the gas station, and there's only 2 people in the BMW. It's Vonnie and Didi. They then tell the other car, hey, they're here. They drive off.
Yeah.
The white Infiniti goes on a alleyway.
Okay.
And that's where the shooters are in.
Okay,
There's
so-
one driver, which I believe is Asa Houston, and then the other 3, which is co-conspirator 2 and the other 2, hop out and then they shoot. So really, they were trying to be slick in having a car kind of flank them and scout them, but they weren't going to be the car that did the hit. I don't think for a second that Vonnie, who was close enough to Durk, who's flying on a private jet, Didi was the one who recruited the guys. So the killers.
Allegedly.
Yeah, we're all going allegedly here. Didi's the one who said, these are the guys here. You're not going to be in the car with them. All ties to Durk directly are in the BMW. They never do the shooting. They do the stalking.
But they pull up.
Yeah, they do.
And
pull
it's
up.
all tracked.
Oh, yeah.
There's photos of both cars following Quando's
Well, they're thinking
Escalade.
they're outsmarting the game. So they're thinking,
Oh, yeah.
well, you can't link us to the it's not a federal, you know how niggas be like, it's not a federal crime to just drive around. I mean, like, but now when they can link that all y'all hung out at the in and out afterwards, y'all.
Right. Yeah. They open fire, Pop dies. Quando's going crazy at this point. They drive off They meet out at an In-N-Out Burger about an hour later, and according to the paperwork, they talk about the money they're getting paid. It's interesting to see when this all comes out, how much they were actually offered initially and how much they actually got because they got the wrong guy, right? Because Quando was untouched.
Still got to get paid the same, I think.
Possibly.
Hey, listen, I think any smart criminal or criminal leader would realize from the X situation, from the Dolph situation, if you cut a nigga check, he telling on you.
Yeah.
If you promised him 50 grand, if there is somebody going in the casket, you better pay him that 50 grand.
Right.
Okay, you might be like, I'm only give you 40 for the next one, but you can't cut people's checks. That's how they tell on you.
Right. Because here's the thing. A few hours after the shooting, keep in mind, these guys all flew in the day before. A few hours after the shooting, Flocka Brown Eyes, Didi, and Boogie, and co-conspirator 2 book a flight from San Diego to Chicago.
By the way, that was how they thought it was smart, right? Hey, listen, if they ever be like, hey, look into these guys, they never flew into LAX. They flew into San Diego. It's about like an hour away, right?
Maybe like 2 hours.
2 hours, okay.
Yeah.
So they have a little bit of, how could you put us in?
But they stayed in a hotel like in North Hollywood, which is all right.
And they got
there.
their cell phones on them and everything.
They got their cell phones. It's all.
But that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes criminals think they're outsmarting the feds or whatever, but like they don't realize that you're just doing unnecessary shit. You could just flew into to LA. You know
Listen,
what I mean?
they actually have a DM from Didi that says, "On my way to LA."
He probably thought he sent it in vanish mode. Hey, nobody can see it except the feds. That's how it goes. Yo, Vlad, let me tell you
It's amateur hour. This is amateur hour right
no.
here.
I don't like when anyone says it's amateur hour.
Is this not amateur hour?
Well, no, the credit card, yes. But what I'm saying is that
a lot of it is amateur hour.
Vlad, it's impossible to do a crime in 2024.
That's what I'm saying.
So
doing
it's
it
always
all is amateur hour.
Okay, good. All right.
How about that?
Okay, good.
Doing this,
Yes.
which is why I said in the beginning, nobody be stupid enough to try to kill you in a different state as you're flying over there and with plane tickets all under your name and rental cars and hotels and everything else like that.
The modern day criminal has no idea that there's, especially in these big cities, you have street light cameras, you have intersection cameras, you have, they're gonna subpoena all the cameras for that point to the road of all these businesses of these streets you're driving out.
Yeah.
That's what they did with the O Block situation.
Yeah,
for
they'll track you
FBG
back
Dump.
to your damn house.
Yeah, so, But you know what people say? Well, I got a shiesty on. Okay, that's cool, but you got your cell phone in your pocket, right? Oh, we got you when you met up with the other guy with the cell phone. Oh, by the way, we got you at the store. Oh, you have a rental car that's a moving GPS.
Yeah.
And like they're not thinking that, this car movement is tracked. They're like, they would have to be already tracking me to know where I'm going. No. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. So they all fly back to Chicago. For 2 years, nothing happens. Then, October 17th, 2024, grand jury brings back an indictment of Vonnie, Didi, Boogie, Flocka, and Brown Eyes, as well as Lil Durk for murder for hire, conspiracy to commit murder for hire resulting in death, discharge of a firearm, and a machine gun, and furtherance of a crime of violence resulting in death. And I remember I got this news as I'm interviewing Terrence Gangster Williams. I'm like, oh shit, a bunch of Durk's guys got arrested. And then a few hours later, Lil Durk buys 3 plane tickets, all one way. One to Switzerland, one to Dubai, both of which don't have extradition policies. This was mentioned in the actual paperwork. He doesn't board any of these 2 flights. They're both commercial flights. Then he books a private flight to Italy. And he gets arrested by the feds as he's trying to board the flight. Not actually getting on the flight, but he was in the vicinity of the airport, and they snatched him up.
By the way, the feds trumped that up. There isn't a all-around bilateral extradition treaty with those countries, but they do extradite. Like
100%.
Yeah, like they're not going to be like, hey, we have the murderer, but we're not sending him back. Like, no, they're going to send you back. They might go through their own proceedings of saying, hey, is the crime that you did there, is it something that would be punished, especially if certain things, like, for example, if, in certain countries, it is punishable by death to be gay. If you go to other countries, they're not going to extradite you. It's not illegal here. We're not sending this guy back for you to kill him.
Yeah. If there's a country without a death penalty and you're being sent back and getting the death penalty,
Yes.
they might keep you
Yes.
Possibly in jail in that other country.
Yeah,
They're not just going to let you walk around.
Yeah, until that's kind of like
Until
figured
that's
out.
worked out.
Or they might have to come to a deal. We're not going to kill him. We're going to take that off the table.
Right.
And then they might send
Then
him
they
back.
might send him back. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the U.S. does so much business with Dubai. So many Americans go to Dubai. I've been to Dubai and I spent over $100,000. Like, so many billions of dollars go back and forth. Oh, yeah, it was awesome. It was my birthday. Yeah, I turned 50.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Oh, no porta potty activities, though.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's why I keep hearing about Dubai, man.
Porta potty activities? What?
They be shitting on people over there, man. You don't see these Instagram models getting flown out and
No,
getting shit on?
my family.
Oh,
no,
okay.
It's not, it wasn't like that. No,
Listen, when people hear Dubai,
No.
anytime I see a girl on Instagram and she says Dubai as the tag, I said, damn, somebody shit it in the middle of her chest.
There was no camel fellatio or any of the other crazy stuff you hear over there. It was just a nice trip with my family.
Okay. You got to clarify that these days, Vlad. You never know.
We stayed in one of the nicest hotels. Nah, it was dope, right? But I'm going to tell you that if the U.S. says, hey, we got this murderer in your country who just managed to slip by before we can arrest him, we're going to need him back. You think Dubai's going to say, no, you can't have him back? They're like, okay, we'll just pass some laws to not allow travel from America to Dubai if you want to pull this bullshit.
They're going to give him back. First of all,
on a platter.
Dubai's been courting U.S., travelers and also U.S. businesses to come there.
Yeah, no, Dubai, I remember I actually looked it up when I went there, right? What happened is the royal family in Dubai realized at one point the oil is going to run out, right? At some point in the future, they're going to drill up all the oil and everything that the economy is based on is going to start to go in decline. So they said, we're going to be the Las Vegas of the Middle East.
Okay.
I mean, without the drugs and the prostitutes and everything else like that.
I like the fact no crime. That's my type of spot.
There's no crime. They're opening a casino.
Really?
They're opening the first casino in Dubai.
I want to see how that goes. Casino bring crime.
Yeah, man. Look, well, possibly, depending on how you run it.
Yeah, they gonna
you don't mess around over there.
They're going to have to throw a couple niggas off a couple buildings to make sure,
Right.
yo, listen, y'all fuck around. Y'all know how we get down over here.
No, look, that is a central point in the Middle East. And Saudi Arabia is trying to do something similar as well. But they're trying to make it a destination location for when the oil runs out. And they're doing a pretty good job of it. But, I know Durk was over there and they gave him some little something from the royal family or whatever else. Maybe he thought, okay, they're gonna hide me. They're not hiding anybody. They're going to send you right the fuck back to America. Take your murdering ass back over there. We don't want a piece of this. We're trying to keep a good relationship with America.
I'm surprised that you ain't come with your Diddy quote. Yo, Durk should have just left 2 years before.
He should have, actually.
Man, they would have caught. Listen, they would have caught wherever he was going to go.
Not in Russia. He could have gone to Russia.
Listen.
He could have gone to Russia.
Are you standing on that Russia's just taking U.S. murderers and be like, yeah, we're not handing this back? Yo,
absolutely.
The next time,
100%. America has just sent, for the first time, long-range missiles to the Ukraine that are powerful enough to get into Russia itself.
Yeah, but
America is killing Russians through a third party. So you mean to tell me that if they had an American that was charged with killing other Americans in Russia, they would give them right back? No. They would keep them.
They
would keep them over there and say, fuck you, America, take that.
Yeah, but they're not about to give that person a good life.
Well, if the person is a multi-millionaire, for example, Steven Seagal's over there right now, living it up. He got a bunch of rape charges in America. He's living a good life in Russia right now.
Is he technically on the run?
Technically, yeah.
You're telling me Steven Seagal is on the run?
Yes, in Russia. So is Edward Snowden.
Okay, that's a little bit different situation.
He leaked out a bunch of secrets. He's facing life.
Yeah,
for treason.
Yeah, but what he did is it affects geopolitics. What we're talking about with somebody like Steven Seagal, we only know that guy for not being able to get hit in his movies, man. Like that nigga was always with this type of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like shit, if he did that in real life, that's crazy. But okay, all right, I'll take your word for that.
Yeah. They could have been chilling over there. Listen, if I know I got a big criminal case hanging over me, I'm going to go right back to Russia, get a round trip ticket.
You saying that listen, if you catch even a parking ticket, they going to make sure, Vlad just booked a flight to Russia. What? Hey, by the way, interestingly enough, man, not that bail, I believe, was ever on the table for Durk, but Durk got a song. It's called Hanging with Wolves. He says, I'm the type to get on a jet when I got a warrant.
Right.
Literally says that. So it's like,
how did that work out?
people are going to be mad when they see some lyrics come up that the feds are using. He's not being charged with lyrics. But Durk was
Wait, he is being charged with lyrics.
No. The Vlad, we got to be very careful when we say this because this is misinformation. He's not charged with lyrics.
Misinformation. Did you read the new paperwork?
Yes, it's contextual. They're saying that the defendant bragged. He's not charged he's charged for murder.
I could read it to you.
Yeah, but he's not charged for the lyrics.
Listen. I mean, it's part of the whole conspiracy.
Yeah,
right?
it's like they use it as just communication.
Exactly.
Right?
So what they said, this is in the actual Fed paperwork, is that following the attempted murder of Quando Rondo and the murder of Lil Pab, the feds say Lil Durk sought to commercialize on Lil Pab's death by rapping about his revenge on Quando Rondo with music that explicitly references audio from a news clip taken shortly after Lil Pab's murder, where Quando Rondo screamed, "No, no," after seeing Lil Pab's dead body. He actually put that in the song. And the lyrics go, "Told me they got the Addy. Go, go. Got location. Go, go. Green light. Go, 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 go. Look on the news and see your son. You screaming, no, no, pussy." This is in the federal paperwork right now.
I know it's there, but what I'm saying is that being charged with the lyrics would mean...
No, he's not being charged for the lyrics.
Exactly.
They're saying the lyrics justify their overall indictment.
Yeah.
Partly justify their overall indictment.
Well, if you look at it, that's in a detention order. That the indictment doesn't have that. So that's a detention.
That's in the actual indictment.
It's
in the paperwork. I have it.
No, that's from a filing.
The superseding indictment.
Yeah, that's from a filing that includes their recommendation for detention. They're basically saying this guy's just brazen, right? But even then, lyrics are going to be used contextually in any court proceedings. I know California has a law that explicitly says they can't, or they could only use it in a limited scope. I hate when rappers start being like, "Oh no, they're charging us for lyrics." That's never the case. They're charging you for a crime. And if your lyrics closely match what they're charging you for, they're going to try to say contextually, it describes it and it shows how brazen you were in bragging about it, or you try to monetize it, right? But if I could rap from here till tomorrow, say someone randomly dies outside and I say, yo, I hit the boy in his head with a chopper. I could say that a million times. There is never going to be a charge if I had nothing to do with the guy getting hit in the head with a chopper by me saying it.
You know, this is absolutely true. And obviously, Drew Finling is going to try to get this taken out. I think Durk's DJ said that was recorded before or something like that. But the fact
this is the least of their concerns.
They're actually using the audio of Quando screaming in the song. You're insane to have any connection to this murder and then write a song that references the actual incident of the murder and putting in audio from the aftermath of the murder itself.
Well, that's why I told you.
You got to be slow in order to do this.
Well, that's what I told you intuitively. That's why drill killed gangster rap, because in gangster rap, you would describe it. In drill rap, we heard the news clip and we want to hear it. And we want to visualize it. And we want to hear you make fun of it. And then we want to then be able to go on Instagram and say, you ain't hear him kill this your dead mans? What you going to do? You going to slide for your mans? Just like how people got online and said, are you going to slide for Vaughn? You think they don't say? When I interviewed Quando, and you did too.
Yeah.
Quando, you could tell he had to get to a place of peace where the things like that wouldn't bother him anymore. Because you don't think people tell him, yeah, so your cousin died and you dropped your flag? You ain't sliding, bro? What's that going to leave him? It's going to leave him right next to Durk.
Right. Yeah.
Not saying Durk only moved off the demands or the taunting from fans, but maybe that played a part in it.
Well, all of them are in jail. And from what I can infer, co-conspirator 2, who's one of the shooters, is called co-conspirator 2 because he's probably cooperating, right?
Cooperator 1.
So
that's what they're going to call him.
If you have a cooperator who's an actual shooter that was involved in the whole process.
You want to make a friendly bet, Vlad?
What's the bet?
He ain't get paid his proper share. By the way, let's look at the shooters, right? It appears that based on them being recruited, allegedly, by Diddy, shit, you know what happened in the Dolph case? When shit get hot, yo, chill out for a bit. Yo, I need that money right now. Yo, chill out a little bit. Yo, my man's gonna drop off $2,000 to you. Chill, just chill. Yo, you icing me out? Then you know what happens? Remember, these are people that are not directly in Durk's camp. That person then catches a gun charge over here. Cops come in and say, yo, you're fucking cooked. We're gonna give you one chance right now. You don't even got lawyer fees. We know you part of this murder right here. We're gonna go get the guy who you've been trying to wait for money, but we're gonna give you one chance. You give us him, make your situation a lot better.
Yeah, you're not gonna walk away.
Yeah.
You can't walk away from a murder.
Most of these guys, when they tell.
But you could get some time served. Look, Sammy the Bull got, 5 years for 19 murders? But he had to go on a world tour sitting on, in trials and pointing the finger and everything else like that.
This co-conspirator probably got other bodies.
Yeah.
He probably is a situation where they're like, yo, we got you for 3 bodies. You done killed 3 people. You're cooked. You're getting a needle, buddy. But there's possibly a chance you walk out of these cells, walk out of a jail one day.
Yeah.
But you got to give us Durk.
Right. So everyone on this case is facing life, possibly the death penalty.
Yeah.
Because the way they look at it, murder for hire. Now, look, I remember me and Wack talked about this. He said that death penalty is relatively rare. You got to be like a Timothy McVeigh and bomb a whole building, or Dylan Roof, where you go in and just spray up a whole church full of people. Doing one particular murder might not get you the death penalty, but it will get you life.
Federally, it's still a very tumultuous sentencing. So judges tend to lean away from it unless it's that crazy. Because if I'm gonna be honest with you, even in this case, I think let's say Durk gets death, right? An appellate court gonna take it back. They're gonna reduce that sentence just because it's gonna be so. It's gonna be such a controversial sentencing. Why go for it unless this is like persona non grata, like the guy who bombed up a federal building? You out of here. You know what I mean? Like at that point they'd be like, yo, buy your tickets, popcorn, we watching this guy die.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Nobody cares, right? But
no one was saying free Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah.
No one was saying this.
You know what I'm saying?
No one's saying free Dylan Roof. Fuck
Yeah.
both those guys. All of them are facing life in prison at the minimum. How do you think this will end?
Man, it's hard to tell.
It's too early?
There's a part of me that says Durk got a 10 to 15% chance of beating this. It's clear he's going to trial. There is no pleas in this one again.
He's got a hell of a lawyer.
Got a hell of a lawyer.
Drew Finley, who I've interviewed before, is a hell of a lawyer.
Now, here's the thing. Even though I say there's no pleas, Drew Finley is also known as the guy to get you a plea that everybody looks around and says, how the fuck did he get that plea?
Right. He did it for YFL Lucci.
So, shit, even Youngboy. Youngboy got 2 years. They called him with 3 guns. Got 2 years, and he got charged with he got charged statewide with a drug prescription ring.
Right.
And everything got wrapped up in a global plea, 27 months. Resolved everything.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's not a murder, though.
You're right. And this is where we got to be realistic.
Right. And if you look at all these miracles that Drew has pulled off, none of them are murderers.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Even Big Meech. Now, he didn't, Big Meech took a 30-year plea deal, and he's out right now. But had he gone to trial, it'd be like triple life.
All right, let me ask you a question. If you're Durk, what is a win? Or is it too early to say? Because
a win would be 10 years.
Do you think Durk only being incarcerated for less than a month right now is saying, he's 30-something right now. I'll get out when I'm 40-something. I'm cool. No, I think right now he's thinking.
Durk is 32. His dad did it. His dad did a bunch of years and got out.
Yeah, his dad had a life before, didn't he?
His dad's been out.
I don't know his dad is out, but.
Yeah. His dad did 20 years or something like that.
His dad spent a significant amount of time in prison.
He did. So,
it's too early for me to call.
Listen, the problem is also, and we all don't want to admit it, but I want all the men who are listening to this to take a step back and think about how closely they followed their father's footsteps without even realizing it.
True.
When I look at a bunch of the stuff that my dad did, I ended up doing a bunch of similar shit and didn't realize it until after I was done doing it.
True. True.
So if your dad does 20 years, in the back of your mind, you somehow think that's normal, right? You're not intelligently going to say it's normal, but somewhere in your DNA, in your subconscious, you're like, well, my dad did it. I could do it too. It's not that crazy. I've gone through it in my own way. If Durk gets 10 years, he should jump on it. He should Meek Mill bunny hop on it. Okay?
So here's where it becomes incredibly difficult. And was Big Meech locked up? Was it feds?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we all know the difference between the shit show we're watching in Fulton County and the feds is that there's something called mandatory minimums. You can't, and the judge is not allowed to depart from it unless one circumstance, a 5K, one letter. And that is a letter of cooperation.
Yeah.
Which means that there isn't even a associated charge that they could amend Durk's charges to be for him to get 10. This is, you're either going to do life. Like there is no, by the way, the murder for hire carries life. There is no, no, it's life, right? This is the feds too. So I don't know. Like this is one of those, if it was a state, I'd be like, you could play around a little bit. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, look, Durk is one of the biggest proponents against snitching in hip hop.
Oh, yeah.
To the point where he refuses to do songs with Gunna. The whole thing about my dad got put in prison from a snitch and my life would have been different. And, I hate snitches. I don't associate with snitches, blah, 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 blah. So he's never faced this type of situation. Now, what if, for example, Durk says,
he ain't telling.
Well, hold on. What if he says, I could help you close a whole bunch of murder cases?
No, he ain't telling.
You don't think that'll happen?
He ain't telling. I sat and I interviewed Durk. And, by the way, there's a cop. He just did something with law and crimes. And there's a cop from Chicago. They said he's worked on so many cases investigating Durk. And he basically said, in his opinion, he felt like Durk knew that this was coming down the pipeline almost 2 years ago, almost right after.
I mean, isn't that obvious, though?
Well,
you tied yourself into a murder, it's probably going to come back around?
Well, here's the thing. Who knows what else he's ever been tied into? But they said specifically that Durk started to really change his outlook. He became a Muslim. He stopped having all these guys around him. He fell out with certain people because, he was covering bond and lawyers for a lot of people, and he was trying to move a little bit different. He started donating to politicians. His own friends from his neighborhoods would be like, yo, you just gave them $250,000? Yo, we could have used that for bond. That's when you get caught in between a rock and a hard place because people are now pulling at you from all directions. Essentially, if you ask me, so I'm sitting there with Durk and I'm interviewing him, and Durk looks at me. And it's the first time the whole interview I see him almost get teary-eyed. Because I was trying to ask the Gunna question. And he did answer it. Just no. But I was trying to give him these scenarios. What if? And I get it. I know a lot of people I know a lot of people who, of course, are going to say no until they're under the gun. But when I kept prying and trying to get that question out of him, you got these big ass eyes, right? No disrespect, but you know how he looks.
Yeah.
I saw almost like, it was like he was getting emotional a little bit, like his eyes started watering. And he looked at me and he says, I hate rats. And he said, they took my father away from me. Now, some people have looked at that and said, no, your father took himself away. Whatever you want to, but that sounded like a individual who grew up thinking that a cooperator made him not have a father and made him miss out on all these experiences and really changed the trajectory of his life. And the deep-seated hate he had for someone who cooperated makes me believe that I don't think he could stand himself as a man if he became that person who he deep-seatedly hated for taking his father away.
I've interviewed so many mafia guys who felt the same way about rats, who all ended up cooperating. When it came down to life in prison, never getting to see women again, never getting to go to a restaurant again, or taking a hot shower or a bath, and so forth, all these I always get the best reasons and excuses on why I cooperated. And it was always going to be, I was going to do life in prison until this happened. And then I cooperated against everybody. Okay? It happens every time. And at the end of the day, you take a multimillionaire, and look, and I've argued with people about this, I think you can clearly say right now at this date that Durk is a top 10 rapper. I wouldn't say top 5. You know, you got Travis, you got Drake, you got Kendrick, you got Future, you got people that have huge followings, but I would put him in the top 10.
Yeah,
he does arenas. Probably gets $500,000 a show with some of these bigger shows. Probably making 10, 20, $30 million a month sometimes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he has a lot of money coming in. And now he's in a dirty jail cell eating bologna sandwiches, not knowing if he'll ever come out ever again. He's got, what, like 10 kids or something? You really start to reevaluate your thought process. Because I'm sure that as soon as he got arrested, the first thing he thought was, you know, this Quando beef really wasn't all that serious. I really kind of overreacted. I mean, King Von did, you know, have it coming. He's the aggressor. You know, listen.
I don't think he thinks like that.
You don't think so?
Hell no.
Slide for King Von.
Yo,
you'd rather slide from King Von.
Slide
for King Von than
if Durk.
You love King Von. You love the deceased King Von more than you love your kids.
Hold on, but hear what I'm saying.
And your woman.
No,
really?
That's not the way to look at it.
But that's the reality of it.
Yeah, but that's not how he's gonna look at it.
Okay.
Durk has been experiencing loss for a very long time. Comes from a certain place. His mindset is not, oh damn, this shit wasn't worth it. His mindset was that whatever happened was exactly what had to happen. They killed his brother. They killed his cousin. They killed his manager. They killed other people around him. And someone like Durk, we don't know if he did nothing, right? But if he did, I guarantee the only thought going through his head is, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have took that flight. It's only about getting caught. I don't think there is no remorse for like, oh man, this shit wasn't about nothing, man. Hell nah. Like,
they didn't even kill the right person.
Well, shit.
Quando Rondo,
you know what he probably is
right
thinking now? Man, I wish that nigga was dead now. At least I would have a reason to be up in the truck. But if we're gonna, you know, here's the thing, and this is why I said, I do think you can't say he's completely done. These charges are as serious as they get. We can't say he's completely done.
No,
yeah, they're gonna have snitches.
He might beat it.
Hey, he could have an explanation for everything. Hey, listen, I do tour internationally. Hey, I was gonna go on vacation or whatever. Hey, I was rapping about other people doing stuff. I told nobody to do nothing. It even says in the message, don't book nothing in my name. Nothing. Yeah. Nothing says do this for me.
Yeah, that message could mean, listen, every time I get y'all hotel rooms, y'all smoke in the room, and I got to pay a big ass deposit and so forth. Like, use your own fucking money. You know what I'm saying?
And
he again, was staying at an Airbnb during the time. He was not in any of the cars. He was not a shooter. He did not put on a ski mask. He did not take the Glock with the switch.
It's going to be a hell of a trial.
It's going to be a hell of a trial. But at the point that he has cooperators and snitches, and multiple ones are saying the same story, and the jury says this makes a lot of sense. None of these guys had beef with Quando Rondo. Only one person in this whole trial has a problem with Quando Rondo.
And put it like this.
And he's the one with the money.
Okay, we'll
and everything is on his card.
We'll put it like this. And this is what I've also said this. Number one, Durk definitely not getting out of bond.
Yeah. No, he's definitely a flight risk. He's proven that.
However.
By the way, his lawyer said he wasn't trying to escape. He was trying to see whether he had an indictment or not. That's why he booked the tickets.
No.
This is why he got a new lawyer, I'm sure.
No. Bradford Cohen said that.
Who's that?
That's Kodak's lawyer.
Oh.
So he was speaking about. He says sometimes when lawyers are trying to find out if you have a warrant, they might do that. He was just giving reasons of why they could have done it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was hoping his lawyer didn't say don't dumb shit.
Yeah, no. He doesn't have that Diddy lawyer yet. Yeah. But in reality, there is a way that he beats this case. The only thing putting him there currently that the feds are telling us is only them witnesses.
Yeah.
Might take a long time to get to trial. Them witnesses gonna have to testify.
They might not make it.
We don't know what might happen. Here's the thing. Nothing you can't put a man in jail for life because he was on a plane, private jet or not.
Yep.
That doesn't say intent. With another guy, even if he was involved in buying ski masks and whatever. You said murder for hire, which means I told them to do it. And I hired. What money did I promise? Where was his funds transferred?
Yeah.
Is this hearsay from someone who's just trying to get people to go along and just use my name, or did I make that order? Again, this case is very witness dependent. Now, if 6 people get up there and start singing like Tweety Bird, oh, he's probably cooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we might see this case drag on because you never know. If some of these witnesses are free, they might end up dead. If they're incarcerated, shit, maybe you could do a little finagling, get to their lawyers and see if you could, Again, this is going to be solely on witness testimony.
Well, witness testimony and goes along with all the other evidence around it.
All of those
it's all tied together.
Yeah, but all
it's
of
like
those,
you can't have a whole bunch of witnesses and you were sitting at home the whole time. You flew in the same time the killers
but everything
flew
else
in
could be explained.
with the same guy on your private plane who got the cars, who got the guns, and
I'm
everything.
friends with street dudes. They do crime all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes they might be selling drugs. I don't know. They selling drugs. I'm an artist.
No, you're right.
I went to LA, which he did. He went there and did a podcast.
Yeah.
I did a podcast. I stayed in the Airbnb. Hey, I bring my guys out the hood.
Yeah.
I never told him to kill nobody. Now, if you have me on recording where I said, yo, I got 50 if you whack that nigga Rondo, you're cooked.
Yeah.
But if it's kind of like assumed, it could be a situation like that's what a good lawyer is for. Drew Finland, they're gonna go to court and they're gonna break all this down. Hey, listen, so even if they have 3, all right, well they say it's there's 5 co-conspirators right now.
Yeah.
Let's say 3 are snitching. You don't think that he's gonna show up and be like, so you're gonna listen to this guy who already has these other charges. They're gonna make all these guys look like liars, right?
Yeah.
Now, granted, obviously, if it's just everyone talking and saying, no, Durk did it, the jury's not stupid. They're gonna go with
This
that.
is also not a state case. This is a Fed case.
You're right.
This is the 98% people right here. You know what I'm saying? So the question is, are you gonna be that 2%? Is Durk gonna be that 2%?
Well, hold on now. It's 98% conviction, which includes all the pleas.
All the pleas, right. Now, if it goes to court, I think it's like 70-30 or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again.
So he has a 30% chance of beating it. Yeah. Listen, if Durk beats it, Durk beats it. Look, Durk said fuck Vlad in 2 songs I found out after the fact. That was just one song. But he said fuck Vlad in 2 songs. If you notice, I never said anything. I said, that's whatever, man. Like he's mad at me over, mentioning that they're having a boy, that him and India are having a boy, so his girl's mad at me, so he's whatever. Cool, whatever. This is back and forth. I always felt like if I ever ran into him, we would just have a conversation.
He's a very nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. I mean, I knew him. We've hung out before. Like, I've interviewed him multiple times. I never was scared of Durk or whatever else. I always thought, like, okay, we just have to get face-to-face, and if we have a conversation either in person or on the phone, I will sincerely tell him that I'm sorry, and that's that. But at the point that I find out that he literally tried to kill Quando, who's always been cool with me, who I recently interviewed just like you, and
stay out of that, Vlad.
I just felt like it was foul, and I felt like
but you can't do that, Vlad. They both try to kill each other. Street shit. Both try to kill each other.
Quando tried to kill Lil Durk.
Street beef, brother.
Quando tried to kill Lil Durk.
Would you know about that? That's the thing. What I'm trying to say.
Is there any? Listen, Quando got shot at right after the King Von murder. Do
you think he's a choir boy?
It's tied into each other.
You think he's a choir boy or he's a straight up pussy? Like what I'm saying is that what I'm trying to say is that
no, Quando's a
when
street
it comes
guy.
to street stuff, a lot of us we always be like, oh my God, they killed Young Dolph. You think Young Dolph was just a perfect angel and he would just get shot at like a pinata, respectfully. This is street beef. We love these guys that end up passing away or whatever, and we look at the other side who did the killing as usually, not with the Vaughn situation, who we see on camera, he was the aggressor, but we usually look at like, damn, why'd you kill him? They're both trying to do the same shit.
But in this particular case, Quando was the victim.
FBG Duck and King Von. You think that FBG people never wanted nothing to happen to King Von?
But I never took the same stance about FBG Duck.
No, but
I knew that Duck's people and...
So in your opinion, you think that Quando Rondo was just minding his business?
That night, yeah.
But it's always like that. But do you think that he was not part of this beef or this back and forth?
I have yet to hear Quando Rondo threatening King Von, threatening Lil Durk, shootings or violence occurring that came from Quando Rondo.
You're not going to hear about it until there's an arrest.
I would have heard something considering
there's
who I am.
3-4 shootings.
Do you know how many people approach me and tell me different stuff? Like, one of the shooters, I'm not going to say who it is because this was a private DM and so forth. Someone who's affiliated with one of the shooters basically was like, this guy, I've known this guy my whole life. He's not even part of OTF or whatever else, so you guys could kind of figure out who it is, but I'm not going to say specifically who it is. They're like, this guy's definitely going to tell. He's not built for this. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't come from this type of background. He's not like a hardened killer or whatever else. He's going to be cooperating.
Yo, Vlad.
And he's one of the shooters.
The only thing I'm saying, listen, we could be cool with either side, and I got no problem with Quando, and I got no problem with Durk. But what I realized it from the war in Chirac. It's easy to say when someone dies or the other guy, you must be a piece of shit. Why would you even do all this to kill this guy? Then you realize it's always back and forth. You see, yeah, okay. I've been covering the
It's not always back and forth. Sometimes you have people who are being the aggressor, who are being the bully, and who are using their money.
So you're saying Quando was being bullied? Quando was a street dude too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if he was a civilian, yeah.
Absolutely.
You're not going to
believe in this particular situation, Quando got bullied, and they thought that they could bully him, and they didn't realize the type of people that Quando had around him, like Lil Tim, who was down to actually go all out to protect his friend.
You're going off internet narratives. You're going off what you see on the internet.
No, I've interviewed Quando and Lil Tim.
No, you're not hearing what I'm saying.
I've interviewed Quando and Lil Tim. No. Even Lil Tim said, if King Von didn't attack my friend, he'd be alive today.
Yeah, but Vlad, you're trying to make one side like the victims when in street beef it's usually just retaliatory
not
shit.
In this case.
That's not true.
Tell me what Quando and his crew did.
Okay.
I'm not talking about NBA Youngboy. I'm talking about Quando.
All right. But you're talking about them like they choir boys. Now I got to talk about the indictment that they caught. There's charges for shootings in there. You think that they were just shooting at the air?
Wait. Quando?
Yes.
Quando has a drug dealing charge.
Firearms and discharging firearms. Come on. Go look at the indictment. They're indicted for being a gang and doing what people in a gang do. What do you think they're like angels?
Quando Rondo was arrested for controlled substances and street gang activity.
What street gang activity? What do you think that is, Vlad?
Could be various things.
Come on. What I'm saying is that you have a personal connection now with him because you met him. But one thing I realized is that people in the streets, they're involved. Like we're looking at it from a perspective. Like for example, everybody like. The industry loves Dolph. You think that them guys, I don't want to mention necessary names, them guys who wanted Dolph dead is probably not be like, man, them fuck niggas been trying us. This been in the streets. Dolph was no victim, but he seems like a victim because all we heard about is him getting shot 100 times. You think PREs are some soft ass like victims? Hell no. You don't see how many people who died since Dolph got killed? You think those guys are victims? Fuck no. But we love Dolph. So we are going to villainize anyone who hurt Dolph. In this situation, what I'm saying is I've heard attempts, I've heard close situations back and forth. Now, granted, they might have not.
I've never heard of anyone affiliated with Durk or King Von that was shot at or attacked by anyone from Quando Rondo's camp. Except for when Lil Tim did what he did right there in that moment, and that was self-defense. That's why he got off with standing
From what you know on the internet. As I said, from what you know on the internet.
Okay. From people approaching me, from everything, from the whole thing. I've yet to hear something otherwise. Now, if someone DMs me and breaks down a whole story for me, then I'll take my words back. Because like I said, Quando got shot at again in Georgia. Remember, like his cameraman got shot in the hand?
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about. I kind of know what it's about, but I'm not going to put it out there, but he has been shot at and attempts on his life multiple times now. People are being shot and killed around him, and he's not being the aggressor. He's really just trying to
beef don't work like that normally. Where both sides usually popping their shit.
Well, I have yet to see it on the other side.
Only time I consider it bullying is if you're a street dude with a civilian, and I advise every civilian go to the cops and get that street nigga locked up. Usually two street dudes, no one will ever admit they're getting bullied. The next time you talk to Quando, ask him if you felt like he was getting bullied.
Did you see my interview with Lil Tim?
Yes.
What'd you think?
I think he's pretty honest and straight up. I mean, you know, I think some people wanted him to have remorse, and that's not how stuff goes. Like, you don't have remorse in a situation that you thought was do or die. What remorse you gonna have? They're like, yo, he said something to you, and it was just like, man, I just can't believe that nigga did that fuck shit that night. This whole shit would have not happened. Yeah, well, there's no remorse that's gonna come with it.
I agree with him. When you did finally find out that it was King Von who died, how'd you feel?
I was like, damn. If Brian did that stupid shit last night, his ass still would have been alive. At the end of the day, if they ain't never popped that shit off, that shit would have never happened like that.
At the end of the day, you have a King Von who has been bragging about all the murders he's been doing. So you have to take a person at their word to think that this person
it's like me telling you my dog bite. And then now you come to my crib and my dog finna jump on your ass, and you could be like, oh, is he gonna give me a hug or is he gonna bite the shit out of me? Like I've been telling me, right?
Exactly. King Von's whole platform is that he's a killer. He's eating serial killer in his interviews. He's bragging about all the bodies. He's bragging on the Breakfast Club, how he beat his murder because he had a good lawyer, not because he didn't do it. You know, Trap Lord Ross called him, you know, hip-hop's first serial killer.
By the way, let me tell you the parallel between some of King Von cases. There's one murder in particular that they were accusing him of doing, and people are like, well, why didn't he get convicted? The witnesses disappeared.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you have to be careful of the picture that you paint of yourself because everyone else sees that picture.
I definitely play a part.
And they will behave accordingly. You know what I'm saying? If you attack me, I wouldn't, you know, my security wouldn't think that you'll pull out a knife and stab me to death during a fight. But if, I don't know, who should I pick? Who really is?
Polo G, man.
Who?
Polo G.
No, I'm not going to say Polo G either. I'm going to say someone's actually convicted
crazy. You like you got the strap.
Who's someone that actually went to jail for murder and everything else like that? Let me think. Who in hip hop really did some serious
people
crimes?
Reformed. Let me see.
Can't think of anyone. I mean, Gucci killed someone in self-defense, but that's a little different.
Yeah,
that's the first person I thought of. Like, who's really out there?
I'm gonna be honest with you though. I think it's a Chicago thing. I'm assuming every dude. Yo, I'm watching some vlog yesterday. J-Man went to O Block, and I said, man, everybody in this video, including the kids, look like they got a gun on. It's Chicago. Like we've heard so much shit about Chicago. We're thinking everybody's a killer.
I'll give you one. Tay-K.
Yeah.
If Tay-K jumped on me,
yeah,
I would think I might die that day, and I would expect my security, if they knew who Tay-K was, to respond in deadly force.
Yeah, of course.
Right? That's Tay-K. If you did it, I would expect my security to just grab you and pull him off me. But you got King Von, who's bragging about all those murders. He painted this picture. Let's just say all this was false. Let's say he didn't murder
anybody from Chicago
anybody
like that, man.
What's that?
I think these Chicago dudes is spawning with a weapon. Yo, I'm telling you, man, Chicago's a different type of place.
Well,
if you from Chicago, we get into it, I'm thinking this is a life or death situation. I'm thinking you're heavily armed.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, Lil Tim responded. And I remember like Adam22, he did a post, which he later took down, where he goes, yo, everyone bashed me for interviewing Pop Smoke's killer, but I'm not hearing anyone bashing Vlad for interviewing Lil Tim. And I had to hit him. You know, he like tagged me in the post and stuff like that. And me and Adam are actual real friends in real life, right? So I didn't take it any type of way because I actually know him. But he put that up, and I said, listen, these are two very different situations.
Very different.
Pop Smoke's killer was a robbery that turned into a murder, and had he not been underage, he would still be in prison right now. He got off through a technicality.
Mm-hmm.
Lil Tim was acting in self-defense and was cleared of any wrongdoing through stand your ground. Two very separate situations. That's why people really aren't saying anything to me.
Of course.
But they are saying stuff to him.
Yeah, of course.
Just a different situation.
Yeah,
Just like when I interviewed No Plug. Once again, people were initially mad at me, but once all the evidence came out, it was like, oh, you see Bankroll Fresh waving around a gun and he ends up shooting first. They returned fire and they killed him. Like, what do you expect when someone shoots at you and you have a gun? You try to protect your life. He was trying to protect his friend. I'm talking about Lil Tim. So yeah, people, of course, the Vaughn and the Durk fans are a little mad at me, but most people are like, yo, this is a very good interview and I'm glad that we're actually getting to see it.
Yeah, it was a pretty good interview. Can't lie.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, I try. And I like Tim, man. He was very transparent, answered every question.
Yeah, very honest.
Very honest. And, look, he had $1 million on his head at one point. He still might. His mom had to move. And I asked him about that. He goes, why wait around for something bad to happen? Why not be proactive?
Smart
if
guy.
you think that something might happen, why not take the precautions? He's got his friend who's probably willing to lend him the money or just give him the money, considering his friend, he just saved his friend's life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, put your mom in a different house somewhere. Be smart. You said that your mom had to change her whole lifestyle because of the shooting, and she actually had to, move to a different location.
Right. Some people don't take life serious, and I take life serious. So it's like, just knowing what's going on, I'm going to go ahead and do it. If I think I should or not, I'm just go ahead and goddamn make sure and be on the safe side, be on the positive side, and go ahead and make sure you in a better place just in case. If it was to happen, I hope it don't, like no jinx or nothing like that. But then if it happened, he like, boom, you knew better. You knew you should have did that.
I like the kid, man, honestly. I didn't know who he was, but after the interview, I'm like,
let me tell you this.
I genuinely like Lil Tim. Like,
it's so funny. I'm not a street dude, but when you listen to these street dudes, you realize how less street they are when you realize that they have zero type of consistency in what they believe, because they're just as emotional as you and I. Most of these niggas would be down to have a Lil Tim on their team.
Yeah.
They want a Lil Tim. Somebody try to opt out, try to do something to them. They want that guy who's going to shoot for you. That's what they all rap about. Yo, I got this nigga, he gonna shoot for me and do the time, right? But when it happened, they be like, oh, man. Yo, I heard certain people say, yo, I ain't give him a leg shot. Like,
fuck out of here.
Yo, what?
No, man, listen, I think Tim, and that was the whole thing. Like, when I interviewed Quando, he didn't want to talk about it, right?
I think because of his current case.
Right, but what I said was, you don't have to talk about it, but I'm going to tell you right now, you did the right thing, and your team did the right thing. And when I interviewed Tim, I said, y'all did the right thing. Y'all acted the way I expect my people to act. If my security doesn't protect me when I'm getting attacked by a serial killer, a self-professed serial killer, fuck that guy. In the same way that, remember, during a live stream, that guy burst into Adam's room and put a gun to his head?
Yeah.
And the security just sat there and did nothing?
Yeah, security back there?
Yes, armed security.
Oh, nah.
And he just stood there and watched. And I'm like, what in the absolute fuck? Like, that guy should have got his head blown off right then and there. If I was security, I would have pulled out a gun and shot him. Like, this is your only job.
Yeah.
Your client has a gun to his head by some weirdo that just stormed in. And
That's
you
crazy.
just sat there and just figured out what you're going to do next? Like,
well, I mean,
it's
a lot of
insane.
security and security like that. Did you see the security in the Pnb Rock video? The guy running with a gun, he run out.
Oh, he had security?
No, there was security at the restaurant.
The Roscoe's.
Yeah, Roscoe's.
Yeah, and he got set up by one of the employees. So was the employee actually charged?
No, it wasn't an employee. It was some guy who was loitering. So there's a guy who comes there all the time, probably orders like a drink, just spends half the day there. The guy is there, sees Pnb daps him, and then he goes outside, makes a call. The guy pulls up. He's like, yeah, he's in there. The guy gets his son, and then the son comes to do it.
So does that guy, is he charged?
Yeah, he got 12 years.
Oh, Okay. Well, there you have it.
So
one phone call gets you 12 years, buddy.
yeah, so he got 12 years.
And he got no money out of it or nothing.
No.
No.
The goal was to let's get the jury to sell.
That didn't work out too well.
Didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, look, I remember in one of our interviews, you said that the Lil Durk and NBA YoungBoy beef would end in death or jail. Look at all the players right now.
They're both in jail.
NBA YoungBoy in jail, 2 years on one charge, awaiting his other charge. Lil Durk in jail, facing life. Quando Rondo about to get sentenced in a Fed case. About to go to jail. King Von, dead. Lil Pob, dead. You're absolutely right. You know who the winners are? Nobody.
No, there is a winner. The lawyers.
The lawyers, yeah.
Collecting cash.
Collecting millions of dollars.
I said that was the dumbest part of it all. Y'all beefed all these years to both pay the same lawyer to get in trouble. Beefed all these years, got in trouble to only pay the same lawyer to get both of y'all out.
Yeah. Right, because, yeah, you're right, because Drew Finling represented NBA YoungBoy and is now representing Lil Durk. Wow, that's... And you know something? Why not? Why not? He's not YoungBoy's best friend. That's not his family member. That's not part of, he doesn't have a
but when you think about
chain
when you think about that in that context, you're like, what are you doing this for? Right? Are you doing this just to go backwards? And the only people who end up winning in this is the people who are going to tax you when you inevitably get in trouble.
Yep.
Sad.
So there was a rumor that Drake and Future spoke, but you said that's not true.
Yeah, Elliot Wilson had reported that he had some sources that they got on the phone. I confirmed that that was not true at all.
So you talked to Drake. Something like that.
I got some sources, man. I think my sources might be a little bit more accurate on this one.
I believe your sources in general. Shout out to Elliot. He did my show. That's an OG. He's done it longer than all of us, but we don't always get it right.
Yeah, no. Well, here's the thing. So I think that might be a little bit more complicated, right? So I do believe he has a source, but in no way, shape, or form would I attack Elliot. I don't think Elliot's a liar.
Yeah, no, you didn't attack him. You just said my story is different.
Yeah, I believe he spoke to someone who told him something, and when I kept speaking to people, some of the story intersected with some of what he said, except the main thing he said, that just wasn't true. Drake and Future didn't speak, but it doesn't mean that no one else spoke. I heard there was conversations that happened, and to kind of cool down, especially specifically the tension with OVO and EXO. Okay? Now, Future is tied to that, right? Future is managed by EXO.
Oh, okay.
So is Metro. Now, in bringing that down a bit, EXO and OVO, that tension, there was, hey, listen, so what's up with all of this other shit then? If blah, 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 we figuring this out now, what's up with all this other shit? And there was, conversation saying, hey, listen, it wasn't supposed to be that serious to a certain extent. And that allegedly Future, and again, this is the part I'm a little bit shaky on. And again, this is my other source, but this is one of my, I'll say it's a top 10 source. The other one, when I said they never spoke, they definitely didn't speak, 100%. I put anything on it. Anyway, here I'm hearing about some of the other conversations that's happened, and they said that Future kind of sent word through like these discussions that, hey, listen, I didn't know that Kendrick was going to do that on like that. Which, the reason you see your face, I'm kind of feeling the same way.
Okay, so
because the album is called "We Don't Trust You" and it seems to be taking aim at Drake.
Well. At the end of the day, was it a Kendrick song, or was it a Future Metro song?
Future Metro.
Correct. So if that is your song, you get final cut. You get the final decision on whether or not you're putting it out.
Well, they weren't really rocking with Drake. So I guess they're saying we didn't get in cahoots and say diss him. They're saying we didn't know he did that. We didn't know he was going to do
that. Y'all decided to put it out.
Clearly.
You literally could have said, listen, Kendrick, we really appreciate that you did a verse for our song. This is huge. We understand the caliber of artist that you are, and you doing this is going to make a huge splash, especially what you're doing. But you know something? I'm cool with Drake, and this is going to cause a division. And me and Drake have made tens of millions of dollars together, and we have a more of a real relationship than I have with you. So we either need to take the song off or you need to change it. And I understand that with you being, you know, the artist that you are, you're probably not going to want to change the lyrics. So we're just going to keep this off. And you could use this somewhere else later, and that's fine.
So it gets a little bit more complicated. So Drake and Future looked like their relationship was fractured a little bit before. By the way, they were on the song Wait For You. Neither of them promoted it. I heard that Drake was only on the song because the song couldn't get cleared at first. So Drake also drops a project, and there's certain lines that seems like they were digs at Future, right?
Really?
Yes. And people felt, hey, listen, well, why is Drake kind of like subliminally getting at him? So apparently this was more like a lick back. Like, all right, I'm gonna get back at you too. Now, I guess what I'm hearing is that it's just at the Kendrick part, like in saying, yo, we recruited this guy to just do this. No, but was the album meant to kind of get at Drake? Yeah.
I don't think that you could recruit Kendrick to diss Drake if he didn't want to already do it.
Okay, yeah.
At the level that Kendrick is at, and me and you have had arguments about this, but I still say what I say. Like, Kendrick has been on top of this game for a while, and if him and Drake dropped on the same day, I feel that most real hip-hop fans will probably listen to the Kendrick album first and then the Drake album second.
Well, if we do it today, but if it was 6 years ago, I'd say different.
Yeah, but Kendrick is at the point that he's going to do whatever he wants. He can't get pushed, influenced. Money doesn't, you know what I'm saying, won't get him to do something. He's not clout chasing. He's a different type of artist, and he always has been a different type of artist, and he did it because he wanted to do it. And it was up to them to put it out or say, we can't put this on this album. This is going to cause too much chaos, and we're good. Or they said, oh, okay, this is great. This is about to really blow this song and this album out.
Yeah. No,
fuck it. Drake will get over it or he won't. Whatever.
Well, I think part of
like you said, there's no real friends in this industry anyways. That goes along the same, same timeline.
Drake has a song called No Friends in the Industry.
Right.
Funny how he didn't abide by his own rules.
Right.
I think for sure, I think in them trying to explain that is because of what it turned into, right? So, you know, for example, people have had, oh, okay, I let this guy kind of sneak this you on my song. That doesn't turn on to a full-on rap beef where now the biggest song in the country is saying you're a pedophile, right? Like, you got to realize if it's just like that, it's like, yo, fuck the big three. Okay, oh, whatever. But now that turns into a battle where they're saying he's a weird guy who touches kids that should die. Now, that's so it kind of trumps up from there. But I think if it was only that, I don't think it would be that big of a deal. But that was kind of the foundation that everything kind of came from. So,
well, Drake's streak of charting on the Billboard 100 every week since April 2022 has ended. When you're seeing Drake's output since this battle, it's been very minimal. It's not the usual Drake. I had Tony Yayo on here recently.
What do you mean output in terms of?
He hasn't had any really hot songs since that battle. He's had little features, little R&B features here and there, but this is not, and even the songs he put out himself, I don't feel really impacted on a Drake level.
Okay, let's just mention that.
So I asked Tony Yayo if Kendrick Lamar ja-ruled Drake.
What did he say?
He said no. But then again, he's also a Drake fan, and Drake wore the free Yayo shirt. And you know what I'm saying? Do you believe that Kendrick ja-ruled Drake?
I don't think so.
No?
Nah.
But look, the charts, he's no longer on the charts.
Drake got balls, nigga. Ja Rule ain't have balls like Drake, nigga.
Unless it's somebody he actually hates. Yayo's pretty even-keeled. But I'm seeing tinges of this. I'm seeing tinges of, for the first time ever, the general public is kind of turning against Drake to a certain degree, in the same way that the general public started to turn away from Ja Rule. And both these guys are uber talented. You can't say that Ja Rule is not an extremely talented artist who wrote huge hits for not only himself, but for other artists as well. But at one point, people just didn't want to hear Ja Rule anymore. And Ja Rule turned into a legacy artist and went on with his career touring off the music he already did because people really didn't want to hear new Ja Rule music anymore. Is this happening to Drake right now?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
There's a couple of important differences we got to point out. Ja Rule as an artist and Drake as an artist, they're not comparable, even though you could say he was the pop guy. He was super popular back then, but compared to the run that Drake has had, like he's pretty much been atop of this game for about 12 to 13 years, almost damn near consistently.
I agree.
It's very short-sighted to say that people will forget about Drake that quickly. Also, again, Drake does multi-genres. When I go to Drake...
So did Ja Rule.
No,
he did hip-hop and R&B.
Nah, he wasn't making straight-up R&B records.
Oh, yes, he was. Actually, yes, he was.
What joints are you talking about?
Oh, my God. Always on Time. That was essentially an R&B record.
No,
I'm Real, which was written by him. The J-Lo record was written by him. Like, you see what I'm saying? He was doing kind of very R&B-ish type stuff.
What I'm talking about is that if you go listen to Drake's last project, For All the Dogs, you're going to hear songs like Virginia Beach. This is full on. This is not even rap. This is just literally, these are songs that you would just have on albums that you wanted to hear ballads, songs without drums. And the reason why I say that, even if we're talking about I'm Real and Always on Time, these are pop records.
Mesmerize, another Ja Rule, still R&B-ish record.
These are pop records that combined rap and R&B, right? Drake has this different audience. And this is where you realize the R&B audience, there's a popular saying, people will forget about what you say, but they won't forget about how you made them feel. Drake's music in that realm is what distinguishes him from anyone else. People are saying he lost the battle, but for every month this year, he's been the most streamed artist. So if no one's listened to him, now I could explain the part where you're saying, well, you don't think these songs had impact. I think Drake is in a restructure period with the label, if you ask me. We've seen zero label support. We've seen Drake actually go against the traditional means of dropping. He's dropping on Instagram, on a website, random website. He's dropping in these, he just put a preview of a music video on Instagram, never released a full thing. He's seemingly almost toying around saying, maybe I don't need the machine. Now, do I believe he needs a machine? Yes. Even Drake needs a machine to be as dominant as he once was. But I think he's in that mode right now. I think that's going to be figured out going into next year. We're going to see Drake back to being as dominant because I look at it like politics. I think that Drake won the swing state, and the swing state was Atlanta. And I think if we're going to go with your theory that he's going to get Ja Rule, it would be Drake becoming so unlikable or so unpopular that people don't want to bump his music no more. And one of those places, anytime he felt like he was losing a foothold on a certain crowd, Atlanta's always been there for him. Memphis too, but Atlanta and Houston. He always has Houston, okay? And when you seen Future and Metro drop that album, I think that was important. But also, word on the street, man. Thugger came home. Him and Thug locked back in. He's going to be helping certain things work a little bit.
You actually said that Drake flew in an hour after he got out and gave him $1 million.
Not exactly an hour, but like shortly after.
And he gave him $1 million.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Yeah. So, bless Thug with $1 million.
Well, and I remember.
And by the way, for anybody who might be like, oh, Drake gave Kodak $500,000 in crypto before. Like, Drake is one of those guys who,
he gave 21 Savage a Ferrari at one point.
Yeah, like Drake is a very, philanthropic guy.
And listen, like, this is one of the 48 laws of power, right?
Remember, it's a swing state, Atlanta.
48 laws of power. When you give someone, especially someone who is like above you, however you define that, a gift, that in a way brings both of you to the same level. that person will respect you a little bit differently because you gave them a gift, especially a gift that they appreciate. Like when I interviewed Traplo Ross the last time, he gave me a bag from Prada. I opened it up. It was a Prada ashtray, which I still have, which is just a dope gift. He's like, yo, man, I didn't know what to get you, but I know you smoke weed, so I got you this Prada ashtray. I'm like, oh.
Dope, right?
Okay, no one's ever done this for me. Like, no one's given me like a luxury item as a gift, just as a thank you for interviewing them. And I'm like, okay, this actually makes our relationship a little bit different. And me and him have been more in contact ever since and so forth. Like, people that do this, I'm not saying they don't have good intentions, because they do, but they understand that this is going to transform the way we interact with each other a little bit. And Drake is smart in that way.
And let me tell you this. And, you know, the good and the bad thing about Kendrick is that he disappears. And it's good in a way because he never oversaturates himself. But it's bad in a way because music never stops with one man. So maybe in this moment that you have this Not Like Us song percolating, Drake's music or Drake himself is looked at a certain way from certain people. But eventually, when it warms up next year, they still gonna need a new song. Still gonna need some new vibes.
Yeah.
And Drake is always good there where everybody falls back, he steps up. So again, you know, I think with label support, him rolling out some shit officially, he has to go through this period right here where, you know, again, I really look at this like the election. But I think Drake won. You know, if you look at it,
Drake won the battle with Kendrick?
No, he won the election.
The election.
So the election for me is, do you vote this guy out from being the number one guy in the game? And you got to win certain regions. Now, culturally is everywhere. But it's clear, California, that's the spot. Kendrick got that. Canada isn't really a spot like that, truth be told. But if you want to call it a little region, okay, Drake got that. The East Coast, I think the East Coast is kind of like, it's half blue, half red. But the swing states are Houston, Miami, Atlanta. And those areas right there is where you see a lot of, okay, maybe not the little shea butter Twitter people, but it's the people outside. When they in the clubs twerking, are they twerking and Not Like Us? And maybe not, they're doing it now, but are they going to be twerking to Drake music next year? Or are they going to be twerking to Kendrick music?
Yeah.
And that's how, as I said, fuck the battle, win the election.
Hey, man, listen.
Because the election is the war.
You might be right. You might be right. All right, let's talk about one of your favorite topics, pocket watching.
Okay.
Mine too, also.
Who we pocket watching today?
Well, in multiple interviews, most recently with my interview with Eskino, formerly of Rockefeller, I said that Dame Dash's auction of 1/3 of Reasonable Doubt will bring a maximum of $2 million, probably less.
Okay.
I talked to a guy that used to be the head of one of the biggest publishing houses in the world, and he said that Reasonable Doubt, best case, maybe brings $1 million a year. You know what I mean? Like, depending on what else, you know, is on there and so forth, you know, you got to consider all the samples and everything. So I said $2 million max. He said, nah, $7 million. And of course, Dame Dash did a video saying whoever, you know, bids more than $10 million will get a free Rockefeller chain.
$2 million over what period are you talking about?
Well, I guess Jay-Z will get it back in like 5 years. So, but I said the auction itself, no more than $2 million. Now, the reason why Dame Dash wanted $10 million is the following. He owes $8.7 million in back taxes, $145,000 in unpaid child support, and then $823,000 in a lawsuit that he lost to a film producer.
He slapped someone out.
I don't remember the details. So he owes $9.7 million total. He's in the hole that much. So $10 million will get him out of debt. And, you know, have a few $100,000, you know, left over. Dame's teeth also fell out when describing some of the stuff in a live stream. So, the auction went live. And Reasonable Doubt sold for $1 million. So after all that, he's still $8.7 million in the hole.
He hasn't filed for bankruptcy, has he? It's a unique situation.
I don't think you can file for bankruptcy.
What do you mean?
Well, bankruptcy doesn't protect you against taxes, does it?
Protects you overall.
Does it?
I mean, what bankruptcy is that they're going to just own your finances. They'll be able to liquidate. They could do whatever they want to do. I mean, this is some type of liquidation here, right? Like they're liquidating his.
Should you qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy and meet all the above criteria? Unfortunately, bankruptcy will not eliminate prior tax liens.
We're not saying eliminate it, right? Because when it comes to debts, like if it's a private debtor, sometimes they'll be like, hey, listen, you got to come to a deal because this guy's just not making enough money and whatever. Obviously, we get that with taxes. What I'm saying is that usually, for example, Antonio Brown filed for, I believe, Chapter 11. And in his filing, it's a reorganization. It's not liquidation, right? So it's like, hey, listen, this guy's seen a lot of money, but he has a bunch of debts. And, we have probably creditors coming at him from left and right. And now he gets to, okay, the courts get to tell everybody back off or line up one by one. And we're going to figure it out, right? And that's supposed to get him back on track. I'm wondering what's the situation with Dame, because if he owes that much, why not just file for bankruptcy that, they could try to do this for you or you do this with the courts, but this might be a part of it because he's liquidating shit. You know what I mean? Like he's selling his interest.
Yeah. I mean, it was a forced sale. This was, I guess, his last kind of solid asset that they could find that they could actually sell.
My only question with Dame is, like, I think Dame is a great entrepreneur. I don't know if he's a great businessman. Now, okay. Let me explain. The two could be different. He's a great entrepreneur because when he speaks about, taking chances on yourself, you need to have that mindset to be an entrepreneur, to be an independent business owner.
I agree.
And if you are indoctrinated in the other mindset of, oh, no, I'm just getting a check from here or blah, 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 like, I completely, and by the way, you're really, like, I even agree with him on the thing that says, you're really never completely in control or completely own it if you're not putting up at least some of your money. Now, there's a lot of people that play with other people's money and they're owners too, but if you want to have all that control, you do have to take some risk, right?
Yeah.
And I think he has good messages overall, but I don't know if he's executed those things perfectly. Now, part of that could be just him being a bad businessman. And second, and the other part could be, it's way easier to be an entrepreneur when you have something that automatically prints money. Like, for example, if you have
Jay-Z.
talent. Yes. Well, for example.
Jay-Z is a money printer.
If you're a rapper or Jay-Z or whoever, when like even let's say a YouTuber, the talent is you, right? It's easy to say be an entrepreneur when all you need to do is go make some videos to generate revenue. It's a little bit harder to be an entrepreneur when you have to go establish this company that relies on this other unknown factor to generate revenue. Because when I think about Dame Dash, I'm like, where's the revenue being generated from him now? What would we say?
He's got this new America thing.
Right? Do we think that's generating a lot of revenue?
Absolutely not. Because I remember somebody I know talked to me about that. They're like, oh, yeah, Dame wants me to bring a bunch of my content. And this is someone who's really talented who I know. It was like, he wants me to run the content on this channel and I'll get a piece of the revenue and stuff like that. What do you think? And I'm like, well, let's go to SimilarWeb, see what the traffic is. Traffic's almost zero. It's really very minimal. So, I mean, you could say you're a great, entrepreneur, you're a great CEO, and you could sell the hats and the shoes and whatever else, but ultimately the money is the money and the numbers speak for themselves. And you could say the numbers don't matter, but once again, like we said earlier, the numbers matter. I think with Dame, and me and him have had our back and forths, but Eskino was actually trying to get us both on the phone. And I'm like, sure, I'll talk to him. We've had some back and forth, but at the end of the day, no one really went dirty. No one talked about families or dead relatives or whatever else. I mean, whatever. I'm sure I'm at fault about certain things and he's at fault about certain things. Let's get on the phone and let's see if we can make some money together. Got back and said, nah, Dame's still mad at you. I said, all right. I think the problem with Dame is that he actually is a fairly good idea guy, right? he has pretty good big pictures. He understood the big picture of Jay-Z. He understood the big picture of Kanye, of the Diplomats, Just Blaze. So, like a lot of these people, like...
He's ahead of his time, too. He's like, I remember what he said up there at the Breakfast Club, wasn't it true? Everything he basically said, he essentially said...
My son has cookies.
Well, beyond that, he said, well, why do you need the radio station? Can't you just get your own cameras to film the you guys have a name. Can't you get your own cameras to film the stuff, put it up on YouTube?
Yeah.
And look what's happening now. Everybody got a podcast on YouTube.
Listen, my last meeting with Dame, he asked me to be the president of his company because he saw what I was already doing. But ultimately, we got into an argument at one point, and then Dame just gets emotional, and nothing will fuck up your business better than your own emotions. Nothing will fuck up your business. And when you look at the kings of industry like Vince McMahon, who turned WWE into $1 billion business, he never took anything personally. People talk shit, people sued him, he brings them back onto WWE and pays them, includes it in the storyline, makes more money off of them. Whatever, don't care. It's all about business. We're here to make money. At the end of the day, no one got physically hurt, no one got beat up, no one got stabbed, no one got shot, no one lost billions of dollars, no one went, homeless, no one went to prison. We could really work it out. And, listen, I offered to do some work with Dame, and listen, if I was $8.7 million in the hole and someone brought some business to me, I would be willing to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing. So there's two things about that, right? First of all, I believe Dame is amazing. Dame needs that star with him. He needs someone to bring the attention and eyeballs or the talent to churn out the product.
He doesn't have that now.
That's the hardest thing about what he's doing.
Yeah.
And,
he's the only star on his label, basically.
Yeah.
And listen, he's an interesting guy. When he has his teeth, he's actually interesting to actually, when he talks, he says interesting stuff.
Here's the thing, too, though. I don't know if he has I heard him speak about, his debt situation. I don't know if he has the incentive to make the money, though.
No, he has an amount of money that he owes that he cannot repay in his lifetime. He's 55 years old. Imagine coming up with $8.7 million after taxes to pay back a debt.
Well, here's the thing.
And also I'd heard that Kanye said because of what Dame did for him, he was always going to be good. So I have a feeling that Kanye's probably paying his expenses and he's probably living off Kanye money. That's what I think. But I don't know for sure.
Here's the thing. So what I was thinking is that currently, until he hits a huge break, he has no incentive to pay off the money because, or really make money. So it's anything he makes is going to be going to that.
Right. So you might as well just have
So unless
fun.
he finds something that's going to be whatever net 10 million really profitable, why the fuck? So he's not going to be let me go do this for 20,000. I'm pretty sure he's living still fine, right? He's still living in a decent house.
Yeah, but listen, you get paid that money through someone else. People who are in debt. Listen, I've dealt with people, I'm not going to say any names so they don't get in trouble, but there's lots of people who I have paid that I know have lawsuits and debt and whatever else, and they just have me paid through other people. And that's not my problem. I paid, you sign an invoice, you have an invoice, W-9, you did the job. It's not up to me to make sure to connect it directly to you. I paid, everyone's happy, y'all work it out on your own. So he could be making money through other means without having to pay back his debt. But listen, at the end of the day...
I think that's a crime, though, but...
it is a crime, but people do it all the time. And all I'm saying is, for the people that say, and I have a friend that say, Dame is that's the CEO I really look up to. I'm you should probably find someone else to look up to because look at where this guy is right now. I think it's fair. I totally think it's fair.
I'm going to tell you why. With everybody, there's no one person that I believe you should take everything from them. There's a lot I would take from Dame, but something I wouldn't. I wouldn't take maybe some of the attitude and the bravado that probably has, and the ego that has probably hurt some of the situations. But would I take some of the philosophies and some of the, if we're in an industry, let's figure out how to revolutionize? Of course. I think that's amazing.
What has he revolutionized?
Well, again, We're gonna use the
That's
word.
what I'm saying. You
we're
can
gonna
talk
use- wait, wait, wait.
about.
We're gonna use.
I'm not talking about people putting out theories. At the end of the day, what has he actually done? He's done a lot at Rockefeller. No one's going to deny this. He was a key component, but Jay was the real star. And I don't think he ever really fully realized that.
Yeah, but
because he would have played his position to keep Rockefeller together or go with Jay to the next step. It's almost similar to what Suge Knight did with Dr. Dre.
But whether you want to look at Rockefeller as a production company or whatever, like just a record company in its own, them creating that infrastructure that worked with Def Jam in the way they did, I do believe that's very different than probably how they work with a lot of other labels. Which, by the way, later on, most of these artists now are not signed directly to the main label. They're signed through some production company or some intermediary.
Like I said, the Rockefeller era, I think he played an important role, and I would never take that away from him. But and I think he did well with Rachel Roy, the clothing company. I think they did well with that. But now we're talking about 20 years ago. See what I'm saying? The last 20 years, I can't name a single thing that Dame Dash has done that I would emulate.
I see redeeming qualities in him, but I definitely see someone that if I was supposed to get in business with him potentially, it feels like more of a headache than I would even want to deal with.
Everyone I know that tried to do business with Dame ended up in the same position as me. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Possibly, okay.
Polo G. You had him on your show.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about on camera what happened between me and Polo G. I did an interview with you, and you know something? Before me and him got on FaceTime, I didn't even remember what I said exactly because this was part of a 3-hour conversation. So I went back and looked at exactly what I said to you on your podcast. And what I said was, I think Polo is a great artist. We ran into each other at a bank. We had a respectful conversation outside the bank, which is something he didn't say that's not true. The way I described it, he co-signed. No one got disrespected in the process. But what I said was, based on his gun charge, his kidnapping charge, his brother being charged with murder, his mom shooting at his sister, leaving a gun in New York, I feel like he is approaching these situations as if his money is going to buy him out of everything and he's not taking this seriously enough. I believe that was very close to my words. I didn't call him any sort of derogatory term on any level. So when he called me and said, we need to speak, I said, sure. And he got on FaceTime wearing all his jewelry, which was kind of weird. And he started screaming at me. And I said, you need to lower your tone or I'm going to hang up on you. And he wouldn't lower his tone, so I hung up on him. And we went back and forth, and he demanded that I meet up with him in person, which I thought was insane, considering all the guns and murders and shootings that are around him. I said, I'm not going to do it. And we had some back and forth, and at one point, we both just left it alone. He went on your show, and you asked him about it. And what he said was relatively accurate. He didn't lie. He basically said what he said. And I told him, I said, if you want to meet up with me, come do an interview. When he did your show and I said, listen, you're trying to promote your album right now, come do an interview. We'll talk about everything you want to talk about. He didn't respond. Relatively recently, he got caught with another gun in LA.
There's an interesting part of that interview. I was being careful with asking about certain things because I knew there were open cases. But he had caught a gun case in New York for having a gun in his hotel room. And I was kind of bringing that up, and I'm like, hey, listen, I understand where you come from. I'm not going to act naive, and I'm not going to sit here and try to berate you like, yo, why the hell you have a gun in New York? I get it. Safety is a huge thing, and also I'm a huge Second Amendment right person, even though, granted, if you're a felon and you're not supposed to have it, sir, but you're not supposed to have it. But whatever.
Well, number one, he doesn't live in New York, so he's not even supposed to have a gun at all in New York. This was someone who's a prior New York resident who had a legal gun. No. So getting a gun in New York is a huge thing just to do at one point, but a carry permit is essentially impossible in New York.
So I'm saying this to him to kind of let him know I'm not here to be like, you're stupid for having a gun. I know where you're from, right? But you should have some type of parameters and people around you to make sure you're not the one getting arrested for the gun, right? And when I brought it up to him, because I'm trying to ask it in a way where he doesn't have to talk about the case particularly, I said, is there anything you have changed since then? and maybe how you move and operate, that maybe these things wouldn't happen anymore. And he pauses, and he looks at me, kind of looks around, he looks up, looks left, looks down, looks like he's putting in a cheat code on GTA. And he says to me, nah, kind of exactly how I would probably do it again. So when he got caught with another gun, I'm like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he said what he's about, and he's living it.
Hey, my mom always say this, man, a hard head make a soft behind. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, he actually mentioned, I didn't realize this fully because I thought that the murder charges against his little brother had been dropped, but his little brother is still in jail facing a murder charge, right? Yeah. This is who I'm supposed to meet up with, right? And expect things to go right.
He put out a note against for his brother recently. And by the way, even when I did ask loosely about what's going on with the family, he says, because I was asking him, I'm like, yo, are you starting to realize that maybe your family and what's being depicted of their behavior might not be good for your career or what's being seen? Because now I'm over here asking about charges. We should be talking about your music. And he's like, nah, that's the fam. And I seen him recently put up a post about his family, and he essentially said that, you know, or his brother, he said, bro, I love you and I'm standing behind you no matter what, right? Which,
okay, that's his brother. All right, I get it. That's a noble thing to do. I applaud that. But you got caught with another gun. And I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to give you some OG advice. Like, I've seen this happen over and over again. And he laughed at me. He said, I would never take advice from you. You're not, you know, it's just plain old advice. You know, you don't come from where I come from. You have no idea, you know, what I go through. And you can't guide me in any way possible or something like that. And I'm like, okay.
Rappers also do get arrogant too.
You know, and look, you get caught with another gun. Maybe you should have listened to me a little bit.
But here's the thing. Rappers, they get arrogant until they get a sentence. So it's like.
He hasn't got a sentence yet.
He might look at this and say, drop a little $70K off to the lawyer, take care of that shit.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, until you end up doing 2-3 years.
Yeah, I'm good.
And yeah, and now you're in an LA jail. You're in LA County where, you know, you're surrounded by gangs that you're not a part of. You know, you don't have that built-in protection or whatever else. And LA County is dangerous, man. LA County is a messed up place. And I don't have anything against Polo G. I think he's a dope artist. After all that happened, I said, yo, come in and do an interview. We could address everything, and it will be your biggest interview ever because of what happened.
I believe that, but I don't know why some of these artists don't just be honest with it, because I think it's because of the stigma that you're Vlad. Like, honestly. Like,
but I've interviewed him before.
But now he's bitten into this other, like, theory of Vlad's the feds, Vlad this. Please. It's probably better if I make the stance against Vlad. You know, some people are going to cheer him. Oh, yeah, that's real. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is, man. It can't be that.
And it's lame. Honestly, it's lame and it's immature, and I'm not Polo's enemy on any level whatsoever. In fact, I supported him. I supported him when he first got out. He was not a big artist. I gave him, at the time, his biggest platform ever. And instead of a thank you, I got public disses, and then I got the rest of this bullshit along the line, you know, later on down the line. And, you know, like I said, maybe it's a maturity thing because he's less than half my age.
I can't wait to do an interview with him, and hopefully he's around and free in like 3 years. I think we'll see him mature.
I hope so.
Like, he's one of those artists that I was, like, quickly I realized even through the conversation, I'm like, you know, they always say experience is the greatest teacher in life, man. They only gives you a lesson after the test.
Yeah, so he's just a kid.
He's just
a kid.
He's having a couple tests, but you'll get the lesson later.
And it seems like he doesn't have good people around him. It seems like his family is basically using his success as an excuse to just act out even worse. You see what I'm saying? Well,
he might have a little bit of survivor's remorse as well, too, because when I was talking to him, he was just like the idea of me saying, hey, you are talented and this limelight is very fickle, so you should be the only one enjoying it. I think he was just like, I come from the trenches. Like, this is for all of us. We're all going to enjoy this shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? You know, we're all going to, you know, which is like, I'm going to keep putting these people in front of, you know, having to have platforms, even if they do something bad that people might look at me. Fuck it. Like, we come from the trenches. And when an artist starts talking like that, you're like, you let him rock.
I get it, man. But, this last album, I'm sure he's going to say numbers don't matter, but this last album did not do what his previous albums have done. And
He has to go back a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, he took a few steps back, and it's going to be up to him whether he could get back to where he was or whether he just goes the route of an artist whose greatest work is behind him. We don't know. He's still young. He could turn things around. Like I said, Polo has my number. He could call me at any point. We can get on FaceTime at any point. If he wants to meet up in person, it has to be on my terms, though. It has to be at my location.
I don't think that meeting would be anything of substance, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I would stay away from that.
Well, I'm saying if he wants to do an interview.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't mean just a meetup. Like, I'm just going to...
Speed up with me in
my
this
whole thing is
parking
if you can't maintain your composure over a FaceTime call, you think I'm going to trust you in person? Because he's like, yo, he's like talking all this shit, and I'm like, he's like, yo, because you refusing to FaceTime. I'm like, all you got to do is calm down, and I'll FaceTime you. It's really that simple. Just got to calm down. I'm not a child. You're not going to yell at me. I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm not that type of person.
That'll work it out, though.
I hope
work
so.
it out. Hey, listen, a lot of artists go through this phase, man. Like,
Yeah.
I've learned, man, obviously it gets different if they're like cussing you out, right? Because now it's like, well, I'm a man too, so fuck you, right?
Yeah.
But
That was my stance.
I look at what he's going through and what he's doing, and I'm like, listen, he's learned a lot about life and the industry, and he's also learning how unforgiving this is. Artists get to a point where they're like, no, this shit's owed to me. Oh, I could go fuck up, go to jail, and come back, and they're still gonna be here. And you see when the numbers drop, something starts telling you you're not doing something right. And you kind of start to adjust because, if you used to get booked for 100,000 and they offer you 70, one thing a rapper could always tell, is it going up or is it going down?
Yeah.
When it started going down, they start appreciating a lot more.
Well, yeah. And it's a lot easier to maintain what you and I do than a rapper to maintain his audience. It's a lot harder to make a song that people like than a video that people like.
Yeah, what's happening right now in music is that a lot of people are they're moving on from a certain era.
Yeah.
Every artist, they claim to sound alike. That's almost a myth that fans say when artists are sounding alike, or all your songs sound alike. No, you're tired of the sound.
Right. Yeah. I remember me and Boosie talked about this, how when people are saying that the baby is falling off because people are tired of that same flow, he's never switched it. He's like, no, people maintain that same flow through their whole career. Mm-hmm. You just are mad at the artist for whatever reason. Like, for example, like Lil Uzi Vert did 60,000 his first week. Do you think that Lil Uzi Vert has gone down a few notches?
No, he has though. Yes. Yeah. Uzi's a little bit different of a case because Uzi's audience tells him exactly what they want. Uzi's audience is stuck in 2016. Give us that type of music. I'm serious. And then what happens is Uzi's watching his contemporaries, like the Destroy Lonelys, the Ken Carsons, even Cardi. Cardi's kind of changed his. Cardi's like on this dark-esque rock star, rage type of music, and Uzi's kind of touched on it. It hasn't really worked for him necessarily like that. And also he gets on this like almost Jersey Club type music that works sometimes. That he's trying to figure out, so he's trying to be experimentative, and I think his audience tells him every single time, no, we want you to just do what you did the very first time. Make us feel like 2016. And, the album did that, and guess what happens? He hops on Instagram and previews a song that sounds exactly like what he would put out in 2016, and they're like, oh, that's what we want. And now I guarantee he's going to put out a tape very shortly after giving them those type of music. Uzi's fan base prevents him from growing. And I think he's trying to grow, but they want 2016. They want shoulder rolls. They want these songs about love that are kind of sing-songy but like so infectious. They want songs like Money Longer. They just don't want to hear like, rage, right? They don't want that shit. Like, you know what I mean? That's Cardi, that's Ken Carson. Like, They want Uzi to be like this melodic guy who's still, which by the way, Uzi's 10 years older. He's 10 years older now. Uzi's
He's
like
an
30.
old head compared to, because remember he said if you're over 30, you're an old head?
No, he's over 25.
Over 25, yeah.
Yeah. How old is he right now?
Let's see. He's 29. He's an old head. based on his own description of an old head.
Hey, yo, I love when rappers shame age only to bring it back.
Yeah. I remember we talked about how you slept with Selena Powell at one point.
Oh my God, Jesus.
She is now allegedly pregnant by YBN Namir.
Clap it up for that brother. Clap it up for that brother. I'm so happy for love.
By the way, your eyes went crazy when I mentioned that.
No, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. So I'm gonna tell you why. And it's so crazy that people think this, like I'm being facetious when I say this. I'm so happy for him because this woman has been tied to my name and legacy. Like she is like the epitome of my dating life. And I've been dying for someone else to inherit that. Because in reality, I didn't date the woman. The woman slept with everybody in hip hop. And okay, cool. She probably changed her life this and third. But put it like this: nobody wants your dating life to be only known for the infamous thought. So I've been waiting for somebody to make her a baby mama or a wife that they could inherit. Because that's how it goes, right?
Right.
It takes somebody else to take her off because she's been fucking every guy from here to Alaska. But now, thank you, YB and Namir. I owe that man a few posts, and when his album come out, I'm going to bump it like it's going out of style because I got to make sure that relationship and that baby is fed. Trust.
Right. Because, Adam 22 did a porn scene with her.
Good for them.
I remember I watched the video for research purposes.
You whacked off to that, Vlad?
I didn't whack off to it. I just watched it.
Oh, my God.
I definitely don't whack off.
Get tested. Just for what I'm telling you.
I got to get tested for watching the video. But I remember watching it, and like right before Adam penetrated her, he said, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. He actually said that on camera.
Yeah.
Or he said, I think he said or something I thought I would never do, or something to that extent. But he went and did it. So yeah, she's been tied to Snoop Dogg. She put him on blast, a bunch of other guys. Listen, man, if they in love, cool. But the interesting thing is I went on her Instagram page, and a few days ago, she posted herself, floor seats at some basketball game and said, okay, I'm done healing. Where the athletes at? This is shortly after allegedly announcing she's pregnant by YB and Namir.
Let me tell you.
Now she's saying where the athlete's at. And by the way, Namir is not an athlete.
And by the way, so I do want to just send this message out there to everybody. We're in a whore culture. From the Young Miamis to the Meg Thee Stallions to the majority of music we're hearing from our female entertainers are bragging about having sports sex, indiscriminate sex. And we are going to get out of this era because everything always flips, and I can't wait. Because half of the women who are truly, first of all, half the women are frauds, right? JT was with the City Girls. She's in love with Uzi. Young Miami was trying to, even though she acted like she was cool with being on the roster with Diddy, she wanted to be the only one. Come on.
Right. Yeah.
These women, they usually...
She was other girlfriends and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're usually saying one thing, but they want the other.
Mm-hmm.
Women like Selena Powell and others like that, it's only once they hit 34, you start really seeing that. You see all that horse shit that we're doing? You start seeing the real them. You see, I don't know, I'm not trying to pile on her, but when I understand why people link her closely to me like that, because this was a woman who I met when she was living in a trailer park.
Oh.
She used to come on my stream every day. My audience just used to, it was kind of unheard of, in the era of me streaming back in 2016, and her coming on and kind of talking about celebrities. At that point, celebrities still seemed very far away. And she was like, well, I slept with this one, slept with this one. And I remember that at a point, Shade Room even stopped covering her. So basically, I guess what I'm saying is that a lot of her, and she admits it herself, a lot of her, come up back from that time was her being associated and coming on my stream a lot. And I guess if we're going to talk about creations, she became a millionaire. She's OnlyFans hit at the right time. I always say that the women that were notorious whores before her, they got to be salty, because women like her, and I'm not calling Ruby Rose a whore because I'll let you guys decide if you think she is or not. But all they're doing now is monetizing heavy off OnlyFans. Look at Bad Baby, Danielle Bergoli.
Mm-hmm.
She made $50 million. The previous whores that used to be at music video shoots just sucking everybody off, you know what I mean? Just leaving with a bruised tonsil and a bag full of semen. This is why you had Game talking about whoever's driving whatever car. Because they weren't popping, they weren't getting no bread. These notorious chicks, they're getting money. They're all millionaires off of selling sex. Here's the problem. And we're not problem, but here's the interesting part that we're gonna see, and we're gonna see it live. Now that y'all are all, it's one thing to say you're doing it because you wanted to get into financial, opulence, but now that y'all are rich, what happens next? These people aren't happy. They're courtside of the seat, but they could only focus on penis. Like
there's no man next to her in that seat.
They're irreparably broken. No man wants to inherit, sit next to them, claim them. No man, right? And even this is what I'm saying. I'm hoping for God it's true. Okay?
Well,
listen, I will close
Namir,
on every...
Namir seems like he's actually claiming her.
No. I'm hoping they're having a child. I will close on every Planned Parenthood from here. They need to have a child. Because once she has a baby daddy like that, I'm like, good. Now y'all can stop linking her to me, okay? But anyway, when I looked at that, and I'm like, yo, hip-hop fans are fucked up. That's what I said to myself. Because even if it's true or not, I feel like this was the most attention Namir got in a while. And that felt kind of sad because I kind of like his music.
Yeah, I did too. I've interviewed him. Cool guy.
And I'm like, if it's not true, I feel bad because he has to do this to get the attention right now. And I would hope a musician, there was times that rappers were running for the hills when they heard that name. So to see him running to her, I said, damn, times has changed, right? It's kind of interesting that, reasonably now, she's richer than half of these rappers.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
So
OnlyFans money, yeah.
I look at that.
This is why Bad Baby stopped doing music. What's the point? I'm making all this OnlyFans money.
Shout out to Bad Baby's boyfriend because that's my new thing, man. Listen, at least if you're gonna wife up these whores, and I'm not calling her a whore specifically, but like women who are selling sex or the idea of sex, at least get some money off of it, man. I like the fact that he's driving in every car that she got. You know what I mean? I'm liking that he's swiping a credit card. You know what I mean? Flying a private jet. Salute to that man, okay? And for Namir, take Selena's credit card and spend at least $500,000 on some marketing for your music. Get your shit back popping. He was with a woman before that used the shit out of him, if you ask me, in terms of clout and attention. I don't need to mention her name, but he even said, he took a helicopter to go see her on Valentine's Day, only for her to basically leave him and go with another man like the same day. And I said, ouch. Yo, in the prime of his career, he was in love with this woman and focusing a lot on her, and she left him high and dry. I forgot who she left him for, but she went to go hang out with some guy, and it's fucked up. You know what I mean? So, I'm hoping this works, and I empathize a little bit for Selena because I think she's been trying to find love recently. But here's the thing. When you have had sex with, hundreds, maybe thousands of rappers, there's just no one that's going to feel genuinely happy being like, yo, I'm with this person. Like, nobody's going to feel happy doing that. So, it's a constant method of cope. But, hey, at least she's crying in a nice G-Wagon or whatever car she has, So, happy for them no matter how it goes.
All right, man, that's what it is. Before I let you go, a very special RIP to Quincy Jones, who just passed away. For those of you that follow me on Twitter, you've seen this avatar for the past 10 years. Ben Horowitz, the billionaire who invested in Facebook and a bunch of other important companies, was having a birthday party that I was invited to. Quincy Jones was there. His son, QD3, who I'd known for a long time, who actually introduced me to the concept of making videos, introduced us. And, we sat down, and I'm like, can we take a photo? He's like, absolutely. And he threw up the W, so I threw up the W. And it was just a very iconic moment with the person I consider the greatest producer of all time. He's the one that did Thriller. He did Off the Wall. He did all Michael Jackson's most important work. And, very sad to see him go.
I always use this quote of his. I can't really find where it's necessarily from because I guess I heard it from someone else who said it's from him. But it's a Quincy Jones one said, a lot of great artists played like someone else until they found themselves or something of the sort. And it was just, it was during a time where I was wondering about, is it normal or natural when you're trying to go along your path to have people copy you or for you to copy people. When I was coming up, a lot of people would, there was really comparisons to some styles I had in Charlemagne the God, right? And, I remember me and Charlemagne talking where I wanted, like I was inspired by him, Star and other people, but I wanted to figure out what Akademiks the personality would be. And I realized over time I clearly did. And that also, it always comes back when there's an interesting person, Flacco, who some people were like, no, Aki's like just like you. And I was just like, listen, give this guy time. He's going to figure out what he is. And I always remember that Quincy Jones, I think it's a Quincy Jones quote, where it says, hey, listen, a lot of great musicians played like other people before they learned to really play like themselves in terms of having their own style. And he's a great one, man. He's a great one.
No, he's phenomenal. I mean, I didn't realize that the Austin Powers, theme song came from him.
Yeah.
So much great music, man. So much originality. And yeah, man, such a great loss. And you're right, man. Everyone who's really successful has really leaned into who they really are. Like, you may love Akademiks or hate him, but you know what you're getting.
Yeah, of course.
When you get in that video. You may love or hate DJ Vlad, but you know when you open up and you get a life story piece, it's going to go a certain type of way. And there's a certain format and there's a certain level of hard-hitting questions that are going to come together. And man, like all the greats, they're never emulating other people. They're always truly, truly being who they are. And Quincy is really one of these examples, man. And it's a great loss. And if you really think about it, like, I was a mixtape DJ. I was just doing mixtapes. A friend of mine connected me with QD3, who's doing the Beef DVD series. And we just sat in the studio and he was telling me how he did documentaries. And I said, wow, I could probably do something like that. And I picked up a camera and I did my first DVD with The Game called The Devil's Advocate. And that set me on my path to eventually do VladTV. So if you think about it, VladTV is part of Quincy Jones's tree in a way.
Yeah.
Through his son, and his son came through him and, took advantage of all the, wisdom and everything that he had. We're really part of that. Quincy Jones's impact is something that will be studied for decades to come.
Yeah.
And I was glad just to meet him that one day and take a picture with him. And I've never removed that picture for 10 years. It's been that same photo because I understood the importance of the person I'm sitting next to.
Wow.
Great loss, man. Akademiks, man, always a pleasure. Love how we've been doing our thing. Always learned a lot from our relationship. And, likewise, I feel from our conversations, man, congrats on all your success. And wish you all the best. Next time you'll see me on Off the Record.
Of course, man.
That's what it is.
Lad.
Peace.
Peace.